Hello, it's Wednesday. Welcome back to Alkenstar. I'm your GM, Steve, and I'm joined by Rick, Richard, Ninna, and Tommy. We are Recall Knowledge, a group of Pathfinder newbies working to go from trained to expert. Say hello, everyone.
Every time you've said
howdy.
Hello, howdy.
Me, newbie. Strange.
We're just, we're going to use follow the expert until we get to expert ourselves, if that works.
To Tommy's
That's why we've been rolling so well.
That's probably true. So we're happy you're here with us tonight to journey back to the streets of Alkenstar for our epic prequel finale. So let's go take a moment to go around the table and introduce ourselves so you can all get a better feeling for who we are. I am your GM, Steve, and I like to put my players through the ringer, especially tonight, and see if I can actually kill any of them before we start the campaign properly. That's my goal tonight. I hope you help me get there. Follow me on Twitter at SteveTheDM. Look at all my Hawaiian vacation pics that I put up. Let's go to Rick over here.
Hey guys, Ricardo. You can follow me on Twitter at HallowedRPG, where I talk about and retweet maps and all things TTRPG. Hit yourself.
Ninna, why don't you take it next?
Hello. My Twitter is on here on the lower third, but at the moment, don't follow it because it's just me mourning over a TV show. So, but if you're curious, it's Ninna Bautista.
I'm really curious.
I warn you,
I just
though.
want to know what TV show.
It's
like how everyone slows to watch a car wreck.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna be morbidly curious now.
Yeah.
No, not right now. No.
Go follow her. Anyways, Richard, why don't you take it?
Hello, everyone. I'm Richard. You can find me on Twitter at RKRichardRPG, where I'm trying to be more active, where I mainly interact with Nina's mourning of a TV show and other tweets. But I'll try to post more on there. Stuff, typical geek stuff, such as tabletop RPGs, anime, maybe some chess sometimes.
Ooh.
And
Get it off your
Tommy,
chest,
the floor is yours.
I'm just sitting here scrolling. Like you post about a lot of TV shows. I don't know which one we're sad about. They seem like all good things to be sad.
It's been
Being sad is
controlled.
not good.
Yeah.
My name is Tommy. I have been making Pathfinder content on YouTube for pushing 5 years, and it is definitively the way I've chosen to defeat late-stage capitalism, but apparently not my bangs, at a little thing called Black Dragon Gaming. You can find me on Twitter at Black Dragon RPGs because I was wonderfully creative when I decided this was going to be a job, and I was making social media platforms. I also, if you can't tell by my voice being significantly lower in the octave range, I'm probably going to die of coughing fits every time these nerds make me laugh tonight, so we're going to see if I can pull orc voice, A subpoint, B subpoint. If you're into watching dudes suffer on the internet, I don't know where this is going. But it's here.
Black Dragon Gaming, that's the key.
Thank you, Tommy. So before we get started playing tonight, because this is the last part of a 3-part finale, we need to give a big shout out to our sponsor for the night, our first sponsor for the night. You know them as Molten Hosting.
Molten
Let's go.
Hosting.
Those guys are hot.
Now, if you're following me on Twitter, and you should be, you'll know the reason we didn't stream last week was because of the vacation in Hawaii I mentioned earlier. And while I was sitting there on the beautiful beach with my beautiful family, standing at the base of a volcano, I couldn't help in that moment but appreciate the most important thing to me: Molten Hosting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
No,
Steve,
that's
that's right.
No, that's
you've
not
got
it at all.
My kids
work-life
were
priorities very
playing
well
in
together.
the water. They were surrounded by old lava rock cooled in the Pacific Ocean, and my mind
Pretty cool.
immediately went from molten lava to molten hosting. Now, if you don't know, molten hosting is an easy way to host your Foundry server in the cloud. In fact, when you're using molten hosting, you'll feel like you too are kicking back in Hawaii. So in the island spirit, tonight, I'm going to share with all of you and the audience and my players some awesome phrases that I learned while spending the last week in Hawaii. All right. Let's start off really easy, right? Everyone knows this one, right? Say it with me. Aloha.
Aloha.
I feel like I have to ask Ricardo every time. Like, did he say that right? Based on the earlier conversation.
That's true. Now, aloha means hello and goodbye. Just like saying hello to Molten Hosting and goodbye to the frustration of self-hosting. Aloha, Molten Hosting.
I'm gonna leave.
Okay. Second word. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
I just keep getting fucking rocket power flashbacks.
Mahalo means thank you. Just like we can say mahalo to Molten Hosting for taking away all the frustrations that come with running your own server.
Yeah, this is it. This is my 13th reason.
Okay. We killed Tommy. We haven't even got through the intro. Okay. Last word. You probably don't know this one, but I heard it a lot. Like everywhere I went, I heard this phrase. It's hupo haole. Say it with me. Hupo haole.
Hupo haole.
Yes.
Very
Awesome.
accurate.
That means honored guests with which we treat with great respect. Just like we treat Molten Hosting with respect for making our game so easy to run. Hupo haole, Molten Hosting.
Hang on a second, Steve.
Haole.
I just checked Google, and I'm pretty sure that's not what it means.
Really? What does it mean then?
You know what? No. Yeah, you're right. A hupo haole to Steve. Never mind.
Hupo haole to Steve.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Hupo haole to Steve.
Awesome. Make sure while you're here, go on over and use the code Recall Knowledge. That's one word at checkout, and you too can get your first month of hosting at moltenhosting.com for free. You can be Hupo haole as well. Yeah. All right, moving on. Richard, why don't you go ahead and plug the Rollsmith in your best Hawaiian way?
For sure. But first of all, everyone go on Twitter and make sure to tweet at GM Steve. Hupo haole to Steve.
Yes, that'd be amazing.
So,
I
aloha
have
and
no concept
mahalo,
of what this
Steve.
word means.
Our second sponsor for the night is the Rollsmith.
Rollsmith. Keep rolling.
When you're playing virtually, why let that stop you from enabling your crippling dice addiction? Just like Maui pulled up the islands from the bottom of the sea, the Rollsmith pulls up amazing dice from nothing to use in your Foundry games. From the rainbow dice set, like the rainbows you see over the islands of Hawaii, to the summer flower dice set that will remind you of what it's like to be back on the islands. It's an awesome way to put some of your personal touch in your games. So mahalo to the Rollsmith. They are definitely hupo haole in my book.
All right.
Oh no.
What?
It's just hupo haole actually means stupid mainlander.
Today we learned.
That can't be right.
No, it's
But-
right here.
Nope, I refused. But big thanks anyways to the Rollsmith for sponsoring tonight's episode. Thanks, Rollsmith.
Thank you,
Hupo haole to
Rollsmith.
Steve.
Oh, gosh. All right. One last announcement. Rick, why don't you go ahead and take this one?
All right. This weekend, April 23rd and 24th, is Pathfinder 2E Beginner Box Day. The Pathfinder subreddit is throwing a big event to teach people how to play Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and over 50 GMs and 350 players have signed up to be a part of it. It's going to be a big day for sure. I'll say that 2 times. It's going to be a big day for sure. And our very own Steve is running a table as well.
Yeah.
But Foundry VTT is also taking part, and they recently released a premium module version of the beginner box, which you can buy at paizo.com. If you already own the PDF, you can get a copy for only $10. And if you're buying it for the first time, the list price is only $30.
It's really
As well,
good.
Foundry is going to be doing an amazing streamed event showing off the content. It features Cora as GM, along with Atropos, Neth, and Cody as players, along with Nethys from Archives of Nethys. And our very own Hupo haole Steve is going to be there showing off all the new content. It'll be streamed at 9 a.m. Pacific time on Foundry's Twitch channel each day, with part 1 on Saturday, part 2 on Sunday. You can catch it live or later when it uploads to YouTube. That Hoopa Holly's got me going. Go give Steve some support. It's a killer lineup of people and players. Back to you, Steve. Hoopa Holly.
I'm definitely out of my element. I feel like I feel like I'm definitely playing with like titans of industry, and that's actually my bad. It's actually Nath, not Neth. It's Atropos, Nath, and Cody, who are all devs on the Foundry side, and Cora, who is involved in like the Pathfinder community and moderator and stuff, along with Nethys, from Archives of Nethys. If you play Pathfinder 2nd Edition, you know Archives of Nethys, and little old me for some reason, but it's gonna be great. It's gonna be fun, and I get to play. All right, guys. I think that does it for announcements. No more stalling, all. Are y'all ready to wrangle up some Pathfinder?
Yeah, let's get this.
Say draw.
Let's get these doggies going.
Only
Rolling.
one doggy. There's not multiple. Oh, well, I guess.
Oh, that's right.
All right,
One and a
viewers. Go ahead, sit back
Wybert's done with them.
and relax. And players, let's jump into our prequel finale, episode 3 of Birth of the Outlaws, an Outlaws of Alkenstar prequel series.
Aloha.
Ohale. We are back. As the camera fades in here in Alkenstar, we are back. Only some time has passed since the last episode. Now, what I want to do at this point is sort of come into your characters' lives after the last investigation you guys did. Each of you would have time to go back and kind of do some of your characters' day-to-day activities, things that, you know, you would do that maybe the audience doesn't know about. So why don't you each one by one go through, sort of give us a brief synopsis overview of maybe some basic day-to-day things that your character would be doing in the weeks after the last job with Aldo. Anita, let's go ahead and start with you.
Okay, so immediately after that night with Hagos, Anita and Refi would have went to, or she would have invited him to go to the casino. She would gamble because she actually got addicted to the gambling, and then would have came home with the lady that she met the morning of, earlier in the morning. She would have brought her back to like their place, and then in the morning she'd be respectful as she walks her out, and then like say hi to her dad and Refi as they're eating breakfast, just being like casual about it.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you live at home with your dad still?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Do you at least have your own bedroom that you don't share with Ruffykul?
Yes, no, yeah.
Okay.
Just
checking.
Definitely has her own bedroom. And so since that, I'm assuming would be her last day with them, she would have spent it just hanging out with her dad and Reffy. And then immediately she'd try to go to the bakery to see Maeve, but if she's busy, she would have bribed a boy or like just a random kid to buy like a bagel or something, since she doesn't want to go in there herself. Most of her downtime is honestly spent in the at the school at Blither. She would be shadowing Vashon if she could, and she doesn't have a lot of friends over there because she spends most of her time like in the lab, creating stuff or just workshopping ideas with Vashon or anyone that's willing to listen. She would maybe like try and hide Wybert if he's becoming too much of a nuisance, but for the most part, Wybert's always behind her. Wybert.
Cool.
Menace to society.
So we get this sort of montage of Anita's life, and I would say the one thing that, like, you've probably spent a decent amount of time with Vashon, although he's very reclusive. He doesn't always like to go out, but you know how to like push his buttons. You know how to get him talking about the stuff he likes to talk about, which he opened him up to you. Interestingly enough, a few weeks ago, he did a sort of demonstration at the college, and in the process of the demonstration, which he was supposed to be showing his new product he's invented, the thing he's called Pyronite, which he's told you endlessly about, which is explosives compacted into a small amount. So he showed you an amount that he was going to be demonstrating. It was maybe the size of like a goblin's forearm or something tiny. That's a very specific unit of measurement, but like a small creature's thing, like, you know, a bundle about this big, right? He told you that the explosive power of that would rival like tons and tons of traditional black powder. So for his demonstration, he actually basically created a tiny pea drop size of what he calls Pyronite, just to demonstrate its capabilities. And, you know, making things this explosive is not uncommon in Alkenstar and in Blythier. But what makes this one so special is how he's managed to stabilize it, right? It's like this sort of explosive liquid that can be moved fairly stably, and it's pretty easy to set off, right? It's just if you hit it, it's going to explode. So during his demonstration, he took a tiny pea-sized drop of this stuff, packed audience, onlookers. When he set it off, it exploded so big, it destroyed half of the alchemist tower that he was in. And since that failure, which he has considered a failure because for some reason his calculations were supposed to be just a demonstration amount, not destructive amount, he's been hard to get a hold of, and he's kind of gone back into his house, and he's not been on campus for shadowing in recent weeks.
Yeah, knowing that Anita would have reclused herself a little bit more because she's sad that her only really friend isn't present anymore, so she'd be inventing a lot of stuff or making her formulas and gadgets.
Very cool. So from there, the camera sort of like crossfades and Anita's face sort of disappears, and Halbrand's face kind of comes into view. So
you see Halbrand.
Yeah, go.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the last episode, you saw him head out a break in the wall with his new pup, who he has since renamed Syl. And every time the storms come in, he heads on to the outskirts of Alkenstar, chasing the lights and the thunder, teaching his new pup how to hunt creatures on the wastes, be it lizards or other small critters, for dinner. Ever since his roommate was shot weeks, if not months ago, he hasn't been able to afford a place to stay, so he's been staying behind the brothel in a lean-to. And he makes his way out towards the evening, usually every night, and heads towards the main Sheard Marshal's post to see if he can pick up any odd jobs for the lady that's in charge over there. But ever since Saruk secured, I guess, residency at the young dwarf's place, he's been popping in the mornings with half-empty bottle of liquor and getting the dog some food and some lizard tails and letting him eat out of the bowl and everything in his place, and then gets up around sundown and heads out onto the wastes to fetch whatever he might be having to fetch to make a little bit of coin.
So I think one of the things you've picked up too is there's a bar that's kind of known for law enforcement sort of officials to kind of go to, and they call it like the Spurs, and it's actually in Skyside, but it's just across the bridge, so it's not too far to get to, and you don't have to go too far into the city, but you're able to you've kind of learned that if you really want to pick up jobs, the best way is to sort of drink there, and occasionally you'll get tips on jobs and things like that. So that might be where you might make your rounds every now and then. You know, the camera turns actually because you're feeding the dog tails in the bowl in Aldo's apartment, and it turns over to Saruk. So Saruk, can you give us a quick rundown of maybe what a day in the life of Saruk looks like in these weeks?
So Hal did put it very succinctly. In fact, here in this role-playing game, I figured out how to get affordable housing at level 1, so truly it's a fantasy setting. But the first, the morning after, I suppose, when everything's going down, first things first is go find whoever owns the building and inform them that Aldo will be out of town with the church on, emergency business, ostensibly, and that, I'm supposed to be here. I'm here house-sitting with Aldo's consent. No, I didn't think to have him sign a thing to show you, but you can go talk to the Church of Torog about it. They will 1000% corroborate that story.
Yeah, his rent's paid through at least a few more weeks, so he's just saying, if Aldo's not back by the first of the month, then, you're going to owe the rent.
For sure. And then from there, day one is find whatever in Alkenstar one can buy incredibly cheaply, but the most cost-effective way to feed an army. And the person who owns the building, everyone who lives on that floor, obviously Hal and Syl, if they're coming around a lot, the goal is to just make friends, feed everybody, get on a first name basis with everybody who's around here, and then continue to do that every week-ish or so. From there, if there is a Church of Majagua in town, Saruk would go offer to do low-end work at the church just to afford to feed himself, so he's not just eating all of Aldo's food forever and ever and ever. If there's not, the Temple of Torog will do just fine. Lizards. If there's just gotta bring me all the lizards. Just, what are we having for lunch? Lizard tails.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be at least an openly advertised temple of Majagua. Did I say it right? I don't remember.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
I don't get a hero point for you mispronouncing my deity.
But you get, there are rumors that on the outskirts of town, outside of the walls of Alkenstar, there are some farmland, and within that farmland, there is an oldish orc woman that openly worships the same deity. Nice. Not like an official temple or church per se, but gives you a lead to maybe follow up on to go meet her someday.
Cool. And then from there, from day X to Y, I suppose, Saruk is in town to find an orc by the name of Gimthrak, and so we are just trace the bounty to its source. Who does he hang out with? Where does he go to relax casually? How can I find this person to either take them alive and then take them back from Alkenstar across Garund, or in the worst case scenario, do what has to be done?
So yeah, you spend a lot of your downtime other than feeding pursuing this one specific lead. Is this one of your leads? This is one of your locked in leads as well?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. So we'll get to perhaps that lead in just a moment. But first, we pan over to the last of our group, and that is Reficule. Reficule, why don't you go ahead and share maybe what your sort of day in the life looks like?
Right. Well, every morning he wakes up. Probably not quite as early as Annie and Kojak, but he's trying to get used to being more of a morning person. But he'll wake up, go out and have breakfast with them. Usually a glass of whiskey and something sweet. Donut, candy, whatever he can find. But after that morning whiskey, he'll spend an hour each morning thoroughly cleaning his pistol. After that, he'll probably spend a bit of time practicing with it, doing a bit of dry firing first and then actual live firing, trying to conserve ammunition though. Then he would spend most of the day probably helping out Kojak while Annie's over at the college learning and being all book smart. But help Kojak out with whatever he needs, kind of act as security there.
And Kojak spends most of his day sort of on call for like wounds and injuries and stuff, going door to door. You know, some of it's like pretty innocuous, like, you know, my child's not feeling good, and he'll come by and sort of check on them and maybe give some medicine and help. And other of it can be a bit on the shady side, like somebody's caught a bullet and is bleeding out, and he's the one called in to save their life, right? He's kind of a jack of all trades in that way.
The more family-friendly house calls, Refi would be more in the background, in the alley, across the street, not in the house with a sick child. But if Kojak is being called for like a sick child or so, Refi will make sure to get whatever candy or sweets he had and save some for Kojak to give to the child as well. But the more shady jobs would definitely be a little more prominent to make sure that the people know that Kojak has someone watching his back. And then after that, when Annie's back from schooling, whatever Annie, might need him to do, if they have some jobs to go run or anything, he would help out with that. And aside from that, any free time he would have, he would spend looking for old associates. Probably the lowest rung friends he might have had from before. Just to kind of watch from afar and see what they might be up to, where they might be going, who they might be meeting.
Yeah, so interestingly, right, you chased down some of these leads, some of these people that you know from your previous life, and the oddest thing seems to be that most of them are just missing. There is this recurring theme where you track someone down, and like a ghost, they're just gone. And I think one day you do manage to catch up with someone, and basically as you kind of bear down on them, you catch them hurriedly packing their bag, just taking everything they have into luggage, pale, looking like a ghost. And when they see you, they go even paler, and they drop the bag, and it like clambers to the floor and pops open and spills their luggage, and they're looking real scared. And then they say, Has he sent you to kill me like the others?
Well, now why would I be wanting to kill you?
I
What's the crack?
They're like on their knees, like picking up luggage and like trying to like get their suitcase back together. He's like, he's tying up loose ends. I don't know, something big's going on.
So what would you know that would have you needing to be leaving in such a hurry there, friend?
I can't say. Come on, if you don't know already, then he'll kill me if he knows I spoke.
Now, I said he didn't send me to kill you. I never said I wasn't going to kill you myself. And I start taking off my jacket and I hang my hat. Let's get comfortable and talk a while.
Yeah, there's like a sort of a like long tense pause between the two of you. Essentially what happens is he doesn't know specifics, right? He doesn't know why, but Ambrose Mugland has been offing a lot of his rivals and offing a lot of people that were once friends, people that owed money or that Ambrose owes money to. All he knows is Ambrose is into something big, some big move he's about to make, and he doesn't want anyone in his inner circle to screw it up for him. So he's been taking people out one by one.
And after we have a nice little chat, and I probably pour out a drink for myself and my friend from whatever stat she's got. Or she's got, I don't know. I'll put back my hat, make sure it's nice and low. Say, well, friend, I thank you kindly for the information. Now I'd continue packing and make sure you get gone. Oh, and one more thing. Remember, I'm dead, and I'd like to stay that way. So if you mention that you might have seen a ghost or a demon, you'll wish that Muglin's goons would have found you. And you see my face just kind of staring for a moment before I go, oh, damn it. And then I wink with my right eye.
And then we see, I guess, it fades from there. We see a scene, a familiar location, bathed in neon light, bathing the room in this sort of neon purple and pink glow. The office of Hagos. It flickers every few seconds, just bathing the room in darkness for just moments at a time. We have come in mid-conversation, and we see Hagos sitting at his desk, drinking his whiskey, pompous as usual, and we see facing him, and all we see is the back of the neck. It's a thick, orcish neck covered with tattoos coming up the shoulder, up the back of the head, face away from us. And we see Hagos speaking, like, look, my team didn't get the job done. Them's the breaks. And we can hear the orcish figure speaking. Another team we sent after Aldo went missing. Apparently turned up dead at a brothel. And Hagos is like, yeah, serves you right for double dipping on a bounty, especially without telling me. Not the point. Eyewitnesses gave me a description of the team. It included an orc and a man wearing an eye patch. Were they your guys? Listen, I don't know what sort of shop you think I'm running here, but my crew's identity is none of your business. Plus, look, if I give them your name, then you know I'd be the type of guy to give your name if somebody came knocking. And, well, I ain't that kind of guy. Just tell me their names. The orcish figure we see kind of pulls up from his belt, sitting in the chair, dagger in hand. Or it can get real messy in here. Hagos slams his hand on the desk, standing up, leaning forward. Ha! You think you can threaten my life in my own office? The lights blink out for just a moment on the neon sign. We hear a loud thud. When the lights come back on in dark purple, we can see the hand pinned against the desk, dagger through. The camera turns around and we get a full look at this orcish face with the tattoos coming up half the face and around one of the eyes. Perhaps we can work something out. As the camera is close on this orc's face, there's a smash cut to Halbrand sitting in a bar. Sitting in the bar with his pup. We can see the sun coming in from behind through stained glass windows, making everything a silhouette to the camera. A figure pushes the swinging doors of the saloon open, and we hear a dwarven man's voice call out, Halbrand Beastwood! Is that you? You old son of a bitch! Hal sees an older dwarven man, Dag Sternmore, an old shield marshal that Hal worked with once or twice in your earlier years. He kind of comes up next to you and saddles up on the stool in the bar. How about you buy an old retired man a drink?
Yeah, I can do that. Bartender, give me give him a stool. It's a little taller and something really stiff. Been saving up some money staying at a old friend's place.
Yeah, and just like you see a lot of people, there's a lot of respect for this man. This bar is mostly either off-duty shield marshals or people that are adjacent to the law, and they all kind of raise the drink and give the man a nod. He's definitely been around for a while. He's got some integrity and some know-how in the community. And he smiles and he looks down at your pup, who's like sniffing his foot, like, cute pup. What's her name?
Syl, short for Sylvia, or we just call her Syl, like you call me Hal.
Syl reaches down and like pets the pup a little bit. So what have you been up to these days? Still making some coin where you can?
Where I can. You got any leads?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you've heard, but I retired last week. Like, he shows his like, pulls back his like coat where he's usually has his shield marshal badge. It's just gone. It's just empty. Yeah, not many get to retire in my line of work.
Yeah, Lyrian told me about that, but is what it is in this place. Congratulations. I mean, bartender, give him another one.
Yeah, well, you know, it ain't all it's cracked up to be. I couldn't shoot straight no more. The little he holds up his hand. You can see he's got like the shakes kind of setting in, right? Like, yeah, it's more like they kicked me to the curb, but everyone's been real nice about it.
I mean, you've been working here for years. You deserve some time off. Some good friends to buy you a drink now and then.
Yeah. Well, actually, you know, if you're looking for work, I actually do have something. Nothing fancy, you know. I apologize. It's not much, but you know, I could use some good company and someone I can trust. Pays 5 gold.
You know I'm your man.
Awesome. It's just, you know, security work for an old friend of mine. He just wants us to keep an eye on things, make sure nobody breaks into his warehouse, gets into his goods. Basic stuff.
Is it a night gig?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Overnight.
It's perfect for me.
All right. To friendship. And he, like, picks up his glass and, like, you know, downs it. Like, clinks it and then downs it with you. From there, there's a cut, another smash cut, and we see a scene. We are at a dinner with Reficule, Anita, and Anita's father. So, we see your father. He's sitting there. There's a nice meal on the table. Wybert is like using his saw to like cut meat and serve it to people, right? So he looks across at you and says, Anita, how are things at school these days?
Oh, it's all very interesting. Everyone is a little worried about the exams that are coming up soon, but I keep telling them that it's very easy. I just don't know why they don't want to believe me.
Oh, about what, honey? Oh, Refi, can you pass the peas?
Right, here you go, Kojak.
Yeah, takes the peas, starts dishing out his plate as he's looking at you.
Also, Dad, have you heard about what happened to Vashin?
Oh, I read about it in the papers. Was he all right?
I don't know. I've been trying to get a hold of him, but I haven't really heard from him ever since.
Well, I mean, explosion like that, maybe he got hauled off by the authorities. I don't know.
I mean, it was obviously a mistake. He just miscalculated a couple of things. No one got hurt. Just the building.
You know, sweetie, if there's one thing I can be sure of, it's that you would never miscalculate anything. And he reaches over and like pinches your cheek a little bit.
Nothing for a roughie.
I've worked so hard to give you all the opportunities that I never had. You got, and he like goes to your head and he like taps your head, right? Like, you got that smart brain from your mother. You know, you remind me more of her every day.
I wish I could remember her. It's not really much that I do.
You can see now, right? He's losing it upstairs a little bit. Like, he's getting older. Some of what he's saying doesn't really gel with what you would know, right?
Have you been sleeping? Refi, are you making sure Kojak has been sleeping while I'm not here?
Right. Of course I've been doing that. Definitely not playing cards with him at all.
Kojak!
What? Yeah. And he turns to Refi and he's like, Reficule, not that I haven't enjoyed you staying with us for this past year, but have you given any thoughts to like your future, maybe like one where you're not living in my house.
Oh, right. Me and Annie have been making.
Talking about an apartment?
Yes. Few opportunities to make some gold tutoring at the school, Annie said, and I've been able to, work out some labor maybe. So, and this whole time, Refugee is drinking coffee, and you said dinner, right? And just going straight for the dessert. But I mean, if it's a bother, I could try to find something.
Kojak like sort of catches Anita's face, to see how her facial expression is as he's like trying to nudge Refugee like out the door. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't advise to kick Refi out. He's been nothing.
No, I would never. I mean, he's
just
part
said
of this family now.
He is.
I'm just saying, sometimes a man's got to make his own way.
I've had a few opportunities to make some more gold, so I can definitely start paying my share here.
Kojak, where is this all coming from? He hasn't done anything. I don't understand. Also, why are we dealing with this now? I just got back.
Weedy, can't we just have a nice dinner? Why?
Well,
there's always a fight with you.
No, usually it shouldn't be, but you're bringing up things that you don't usually do. So that's very uncharacteristically. It makes me anxious.
Just at that moment, there's like a knock on the door, and there's like an out-of-breath woman, and she's like, Kojak, sorry. I don't mean to interrupt your dinner, but we got a situation, a gunshot wound. And he's like already like getting.
I was literally about to be like, Refuse, like, I hear someone at the door, and like try to leave.
So he like kind of puts his napkin down and like grabs his doctor bag and just says, "We'll finish this conversation later," and like rushes out the front door, leaving Refi and Anita sort of looking at each other. And the scene sort of fades from there.
So take another serving of dessert real quick.
To a scene. It's another scene with Anita, but it's happening at a different time. And we see Anita in her laboratory at school. And there is a sort of like knock on the door, and the door kind of opens. And we see like a small halfling man wearing like pretty fine clothes, like a pocket watch kind of on his little like waist that he's constantly checking as he sort of walks in. And he's like, I don't mean to be interrupting.
Oh, yes. How can I help you?
Sorry. My name. And he like reaches out for your hand so he can like kind of kiss it, right? He doesn't have to bend down, right? Because it's like he's a halfling. So, my name is Ambrose Mugland.
You're Ambrose Mugland?
Oh, you've heard of me. My reputation precedes me. Hopefully nothing too bad.
No, not so far. Why? How do I owe the pleasure?
Well, to be quite honest, it's all about that guy over there. And he kind of like points over at Wybert.
Yes, he's adorable, isn't it?
And functional, no doubt. Not a single spring, cog, or gear on him.
Thank you. Not a lot of people notice that, but I've been working really hard to make sure that he doesn't show any of that, but is working very well.
So enlighten me. How does it work?
Well, actually, right beneath, at the core of what you would anatomically place as the heart, is a base made up of cogs and gears and clockwork. And I know that people have been winding down some of their constructs, but I've been trying to make this power source that involves a casing and a sort of chemical reaction that I used to talk to Vashan about. So it's all underneath.
His eyebrow sort of goes up. Oh, so you work with Vashan. It's quite a demonstration, wouldn't you say?
I know you didn't mean to do that, though.
Oh, sure, yeah, no. But did you perhaps help him come up with his formula? Has he talked about it?
No, it was a surprise to me as it was to you.
He at this point, there's like, you have like a part of your desk. There's like this little tin engraving you have, and it's a picture of you and Kojak and Reficule sort of at like a carnival or a fair of some sort, and it's just sitting there on your desk, right? And he stops and he looks at it and he picks it up and he goes, "And who might this be?" And he points at like Reficule. "Is this your boyfriend?"
No, that's someone. Why?
Well,
That's
just wanna know
Kojak,
it.
by the way.
Kojak.
Yeah.
Kojak and someone.
Yeah. He was a stranger in the circus. Well, Kojak thought he's been having troubles lately, dementia. He thought that it'd be nice to have someone else inside the picture. So he's right there.
So if this isn't your boyfriend, then you're free to have dinner this weekend, perhaps? He smiles. Puts the picture back.
Sure.
Great. Friday, 7 o'clock? There's no Friday.
I'd like to be picked up. I hope you have like a huge carriage or something right outside the building.
Of course,
Make
of
sure
course.
everyone sees it. Yeah? Oh.
Yeah, of course.
How about Whitebird?
Well, that brings me to my second point. I would like to fully fund, nay, purchase your research right here and now. If you'll sell it.
Funding is an interesting proposition. However, I'm not too very keen on you taking over it.
A man of my stature and position is not accustomed to not getting what he wants. And he smiles as he steps forward.
I'm just giving you more reasons to ask me out on a date and give me that carriage. Everyone always wants a chase, yeah?
Interesting one, Anita. I'll be keeping my eye on you. And he like gives you a wink with his left eye and steps out of your office. And it cuts over from here, right, to Saruk's chasing up on these leads, right? Saruk has a one ultimate goal here, and that is to track down this Gimthrak. You've been spending most of this time not getting many leads. Most people have seen or heard rumors or whispers of him, but no one really seems to know who he is or where he comes from, or even who he works for that matter. But you actually get contacted from the most unlikely of people that has a potential lead for you on this situation, and that is Hagos. And Hagos has requested your presence. He says he might have information on who you're looking for.
Fair enough, then I suppose we head that way.
Yeah, so you head towards Hagos' office, and the last time you were here in the office, you didn't have the most warm, friendly encounter with Hagos. In fact, you openly told him that you were refusing to do the job that he hired you for, and there was a bit of a standoff. So it's kind of surprising he might invite you back. But when you show up to the office and slide the door open, you see something you were not expecting, and that is Reficule already seated in the office. And he looks back over his shoulder as you come in. And Hagos.
Fancy seeing you here.
Yeah, beckons you.
Hello there, Tusks.
Keeping busy?
Always.
And
Nice to seeing you here.
A very curt nod, and then just like go to where Hagos is.
Mm-hmm. There's like Hagos is on one side of the desk, and there's like two chairs opposite him, and Reficule's in one, and you can either stand or sit in the other as your choice.
I suppose we sit.
Okay, so you sit, and sitting, your head still towers well over like Reficule. You see Hagos is sort of nursing this hand. He's got this bandaged hand wrapped around, and you can just see like red, deep crimson blood pooling in the sort of bandages as he holds it. And he's like babying that one hand with the knife through it. And he sort of explains the situation that Somebody showed up looking for you, and he refused to sell you out, getting this in the process. So instead, well, listen.
Do I believe him?
Do you believe him? Make a sense motive check. Perception. I guess I can cut over to the dice roll.
That would be a 23.
Okay. You have no reason to doubt that he's telling you the truth. So, I would not sell you out. But hey, he insisted he wanted to meet you two. So I'm passing along his contact information directly. So there's no funny business, right? He doesn't know who you are, but he wants you to know who he is. He says...
Surprise me, Hagos.
Yeah. Do I?
I do, and I take what you thought was a cigarette with a lollipop. You do. You have more of a backbone than I thought you did.
But you don't think there's any honor amongst thieves? I told you. I'm your protections. I'm the layer between you and them, so they don't get to use. That's my job. That's why I take my cut.
Regardless of however it shakes out, thank you. You definitely could have had that go the other way for me. Sir just smiles, nods, and I assume the contact info is on some kind of like paper I can take.
Yeah, he slides over like an apartment number in a sort of apartment building, and he says, meet them tonight. He says you'll knows what it's about. Just in it, I needed to mention his name, Gimthrak.
Fuck. Thank you. And you are coming with me as well, Reficule.
Reficule takes a pause and looks towards Hagos for a moment, then looks towards Saruk. I think I will be doing that, Tusks.
This one comes back alive. You can take whatever you want on him. I need him. We're clear?
You got it, boss.
Don't call me boss.
Sure thing, boss.
Okay. There's
Should we go get the others?
I think it's best that we don't involve Anita in this, if possible.
Is
if you want to get whiskers, that's fine, but I'd rather not have Anita involved in all this.
I didn't mean to make the "is she okay" joke, and then I realized
you did. I thought you did. It's just so natural at this point. So there's that moment as you guys discuss. You decide not to involve them, and we smash cut from that scene to another scene, and we're back with Anita. You're working in your laboratory again, and there is sort of another knock, and it's been some time, right? You're wearing different clothing. It's clearly not the same day. 4 security officers show up with a man who's the dean of your department. You know him. He's like an elven man. You know him. His name is Olos Kuvri. All of them show up outside your laboratory with the 4 security officers. He smiles, and you see this like polite, weak smile. He's like, Anita, could you come with me for a moment?
I look at the security personnel for a moment. Are they aggressive?
They are looking very tense right now. Yeah, they are like all 4 of them ready for you to make any sort of move so that they could just have an excuse.
I straighten myself up and say, Mr. Kuvri, yes, of course.
So he he motions you and he just says, leave the robot, please. And like Wyber's over there in the corner. So
where are we going?
Just to my office down the hall. We have some matters to discuss.
If you don't mind, and I know how important it is for you to have your students be comfortable in your school, but if we could have this conversation right over here the hallway with my dorm right behind me or my office behind me, I would really greatly appreciate that.
He looks, and you see him like look at the kind of guards around him, and you could just see on his eyes, right? He's choosing his words carefully, and you've had a pretty close relationship with him. At least he's always been very interested in your work, very respectful. And he thinks for a moment. And he says, "I suppose we could do that. You 4 just stay here. We're just going to step into the hall and have a quick conversation." And he agrees. Yeah, he won't take you all the way to his office. He'll let you stay right outside.
Is everything okay?
And you saw him, right? He told the 4 of them to stay in. What ends up happening is 3 stay inside, and one of the guards still comes outside and just stays within earshot of you two. And he's like looking back, and you see him like kind of rubbing his hands in his hair. And he's like, "Actually, no, everything's not okay." And we have a smash cut in that moment to Halbrand. So, Halbrand, we see it's nighttime. Full moon coming through the smoky sky. You're sitting in the warehouse chatting with your old friend Dag Sternmore.
Mm-hmm.
As you kind of like wander, a bit of an oddity. This warehouse actually seems to be for a familiar name. This is a warehouse that belongs to the Ruby Works firework factory.
So, Dag, I mean, do you, is this a regular job for you, or do you, just come upon it now that you're in your retirement, or did you have any previous, relations with the, owners of the place?
Actually, I got this job through Angelique.
Oh.
You've met her. I mean,
Yeah.
Are you friends with her? Because I didn't really know her very well. Just, I knew of her.
We done some business. Lyrian, he introduced not only me to you, but me to Miss Lovelace. So we've done some work, and I've been more than happy to take some of her coin for some of the things that I procured out there on the outskirts of the city.
The shame what happened to Lyrian. They never did catch. Well, from what I understand, they shot the killer dead right then and there, but never did find that body.
Yeah. I have a feeling it's not quite closed, and I'm gonna find out. You know me. Anyways, that's, it's a little bit in the
Anyways,
past.
Angelique, she felt bad for my situation, Like, I can't shoot a gun as well, but I'm still, still need to make some cash, and still we need to give an old soul something to do, right? Not just sitting around and watching the ladies dance and taking more of my money, right?
I know you can never sit around and do nothing. I mean, I'm sure you have a great pension. Your savings is probably gonna, outlast your black lung. Anyways, yeah, I know.
Black lung.
You never want to sit around and not do nothing.
Right. It's about time for our patrol. You take that half and I'll take this half. We'll meet back here and catch up.
All right.
And, you kind of start heading away, and you're going through this, like, where it's dark. The moonlight's sort of coming through the windows. There's crates and stuff piled everywhere, but you actually, as you are like kind of making your way down here, you hear a noise that kind of sends a chill up your spine for just a moment. It sounds like wood hitting the floor, like someone has maybe pried open a crate and the lid has like kind of clambered to the floor somewhere not too far away from you.
I'm gonna reach into my blanket and pull out my coat pistol. Well, I guess it's my blanket pistol now, and slowly start creeping through the warehouse towards the noise.
All right, so you see Halbrand like creeping sideways towards the noise, and we cut from there to a sort of street scene. We see Reficule and Saruk both making their way through the smog-choked streets of Smokeside, and it feels like the smog is extra thick today. It's like lower visibility is like terrible. Most people in the city are walking around with like bandanas or other sort of filtration devices over their mouth to sort of help them breathe. And we kind of come in on that conversation that we sort of ended with you guys both going towards Gimthrak's address.
So you are entitled to information. Do you want the short version or the long version?
We're, each of us have a responsibility to our community, so. But I'll take the short version. I mean, to be quite honest, I get a little bit bored with long stories.
I understand. The short version is that Gimthrak is my former partner. He participated in... There's just kind of like a slow inhale, exhale. Summoning demons in my home city. I was framed for it. The unfortunate part about framing someone in a city where there are more divine casters than there are begins waving generally at the smog is that under a zone of truth, it is very easy to come up not guilty, shall we say.
Must be nice.
Yeah. You said you could smell the law a mile off. You're about half right. I carry the badge, but I resigned afterwards. I needed the freedom to come to Alkenstar and bring him back.
So that's why you're here in Alkenstar after this grim threat, then?
Right. Assuming that things don't go sideways, he will either return with me back to... I suppose I've never said. My home city is Madakali. It's on the other side of the continent, the very far western edge of the Mwangi Expanse. He will return there to face judgment, or I will, if I can get his tusks, that will serve as proof of justice served. From there, hopefully I can get my job back. If not, who knows? I'm sure Majagua will protect, and it's around this time that it becomes plain to notice that in the intervening space, Saruk has bought a shield. The majority of the thing is painted a very bright emerald green. The center, where the boss would be, though there isn't one, a open roaring mouth of a jaguar, with the boss would sit dead in the middle of where the open roar is. But we're not worried about that today. When we get there, don't let him speak. We open the door, and then we go to work.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Tusks.
Very well.
And it kind of they disappear into the haze of the smog, and when it kind of crystallizes back, we're back in the hallway outside of Anita's office, and you can see him. As he speaks, you see his face. You can read his facial expression. You can tell that what he's saying is bullshit, and you know that he knows that what he's saying is bullshit. But he still says
he knows that you know that he knows that you know.
He's like, I'm really sorry, Anita, but there's been some allegations against you that they've been investigated, and turns out they've all come back as being authentic. Your research here is actually stolen. You've plagiarized your work from somebody else.
From who?
It's not important who, but what is important is that in addition to this is, maybe I could try to smooth things over, but eyewitnesses have placed you at the scene of a double murder.
Mm-hmm.
I like that response. He's like, I know, there's no way that he stops, he looks at the guard who's staring daggers at him. He's like, eyewitnesses, these are both very serious crimes, and we here at the Blythier College take them very seriously. I'm really sorry, Anita, but as of this morning, you are expelled from the Blythier College.
Kuvri, you know that was bullshit, whatever eyewitnesses. Besides, those are allegations.
No,
You're kicking me out for allegations?
He looks over your shoulder.
What happened to
it's not just
trials?
allegations. It's settled. It's done. I'm sorry.
It's settled. Where was I during all
and by the way, you still owe your 20,000 gold tuition fee. We're not going to be able to defer that loan any longer, so it will start accruing interest immediately. And all of your work that you've done so far is now claimed and belongs to Blythier Academy.
No. I don't think that was part of the contract. Kuvri.
You realize now that the sort of guards that have been standing guard have now come out into the hallway, and you turn and look, and they are come up and grab you by your arm, and he's got this super apologetic look on his face, and he kind of mouths the words sorry.
Are you really sorry? You fucking coward.
And he's he turns so he can't even look at you, and he's like, take her away. And the 4 guards sort of drag you out of the college, and you look back at your office. Wybert is still sealed up, and you are taken away and separated from your prime invention, Wybert itself, as they drag you in.
Wybert! I scream. And
Yeah.
then Wybert is gonna, like, just dash whatever.
Nope, he does not. You're too far away, the sound does not work, and they drag you off the campus. You are separated from Wybert. And we cut from there to Halbrand. Halbrand's creeping towards that sound. However, we see now, you pop around the corner, it's just an oversized rat that's made its way into a box, lifted the lid, and you see him chewing on something inside the crate. And that sort of intense moment of like panic passes, the cold adrenaline hits your skin, and you can, you put your sort of weapon away, and you can kind of come forward.
Yeah. No, Sil, those things they carry some damn diseases. They're not as clean as them lizards out there, so don't go biting on that thing. You don't want that.
Yeah, so you shoo it away, right? And you see, you don't want to touch it, right? Because like you're afraid of the disease, but you sort of like scare it away. And God, a rodent of unusual size. And we see in the box, it's been chewing on something, and you can see a layer of fireworks, right? Like this rat had been chewing a firework. Luckily, it didn't explode. But for just a moment, as you peek in the corner, you can see there's just a thin layer of fireworks and a small divider that's kind of printed to look like more fireworks, giving it like a false bottom.
The hell is this? Better put out my cigarette. All right. Go down there and start looking.
Yep. So you sort of lift it up, and like the fireworks tumble to the sides, and you see this crate. It's got to be at least 3 feet deep and 3-4 feet wide. You realize now the whole bottom half of this crate is filled to the brim with what looks like black powder ammunition. Clearly, without a doubt, smuggled here in this sort of warehouse.
Wonder if Dag's part of this. I mean, he can't shoot, but he can walk around with the billy club. He didn't need to retire. I'm going to see if there's any more around, or if there's any other crates that have the same bearing markings.
Yep. So we kind of watch as you move to the other crate and start going through it, and we cut from there over back to Reficule and Saruk. So we follow these two. They're walking down the hallway. The address to the apartment you guys have been sent to, very clearly the right place. We're basically, 3-4 stories up on like this. It's a pretty tall tower, but you guys are only 3-4 stories up. You're moving down towards this room at the end of the hall. We see out the window the smog, the moon behind it. It's like a half moon. It's clearly later that same day. A door, the ultimate adventurer's enemy, stands at the end of the hallway. What is your guys' approach for this? Like, just generally.
So as we approach, Saruk, under his breath in Orcish, Mother Majwakwa, give us luck storming the apartment. And then...
I don't believe in luck. And for the first, usually the one time that you worked with Refi, Saruk, you've seen it. Like, he's just kind of been cavalier. This time, I'll take out my pistol and actually just I'll break the action, make sure it's loaded, put the barrel back, make sure it's half cocked, and then put it back, and then jack it back. Much more at the ready than you've ever seen him.
I didn't know you spoke Orcish. I suppose multi-pistol.
Few words here and there.
Fair enough.
Luck,
multi-pistol comes
demon,
out in the...
those sort of things.
We'll talk about that later. Mace comes out in the ranged mode. I would like to have my shield raised, if I can. And I guess I'm going to try to break down the door by shield bashing it. And we're going to go ham.
So the camera cuts, right? We're inside the office looking towards the door. And there's this moment of like, bam! You give it a nice hard thwack. The door flies open, almost like breaks off its hinges as it crashes in. And we see Saruk standing there, shield and mace weapon at the ready. Reficule in the hallway behind them. And there's a quick cut from your guys' perspective. you see in the middle of this room, there's a single lantern on a desk, flickering in the middle of the room, putting shadows sort of around. An orcish body sits facing away from you in the chair with a large cowboy-style hat on top of its head. But there's no reaction to you guys kicking in the door. It's just sitting there waiting for you. And with that, we're going to cut to our break for the night.
God damn it. Is that what that feels like when you do that to people?
Oh, man. We
Let's
built the
go.
tension, but we're taking a break because we're at the halfway point. So, thanks for going on that ride. It was a crazy sort of back and forth, getting everything building up. I hope you are...
I want to cry.
I hope it was fun. Oh, yeah, poor...
Why
It's totally fine. That horrible, terrible murderer has finally been taken off the street. Dogs of Alkenstar are safe once again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, no more... We got to build the new wyvern. So, while we're at break, take this time to support us here at Recall Knowledge. You can head on over to twitch.tv/recallknowledge and give us a follow if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube... Yeah, if you're watching on Twitch, head over to youtube.com/recallknowledge and give us a subscribe there. Also, over here on Twitch, we humbly accept your Amazon Prime subscriptions or any other sub you'd like to toss our way. That would be great. Support us where we are. Subscribe to stay caught up so you don't miss any videos. And check us out on Patreon. You can see it down below. It says Patreon. We got a Patreon. You can easily give us some support. You get episodes early before they hit YouTube, but it's just a good way to give the cast some support for what we're doing and help us do even bigger, better things. And,
toss a coin to your witcher.
There we go.
God.
Yeah. So we're going to be back in just about 10 minutes. It's, 8:23, so we'll probably come back around 8:35. Give Richard a little bit of time to eat a full meal since he's been fasting all day, and you might have seen him cut away from camera to try to snack at break. We'll go ahead and let you get your meal in for the day. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back to finish out the last conclusion and see where all these sort of cliffhangers lead us to here on Birth of the Outlaws. So see you guys in a little bit. And after that tense break, everyone go home and get their coffee. Look at this awesome coffee mug. It has the Recall Knowledge logo on it. What? Which you too can get your own Recall Knowledge mug, but that's not why we're here. We're here to finish up our finale. We only got another hour or so to live with this prequel. How's it going to end? What's going on? Anita got expelled. Oh, why, but where are you? Let's figure it all out. So,
every time Wybert does something now, I'm going to need you to do that, Steve.
Wybert. So, we fade in from the commercial break, and we see Refacule and Saruk standing behind what appears to be an orcish man with the giant cowboy hat, flickering lantern before him. What do you guys do?
Well, first things first, because this definitely isn't sus at all, I would like to make a quick perception check to just quickly scan the body, make sure they seem to actually be dead, scan the room.
Yep.
Things of that nature.
From this angle, it's going to be hard to see, right? Because you're looking from the back, and you can only see from the top of the chair to the back of the neck is the only part that's visible. But go ahead and make a perception check just to see if you can sense something is off here. Seek something out. Good.
I'm guessing I'm pursuing a lead here. So
you are 100% pursuing a lead.
Man, I'm so good at Pathfinder.
Nice. So that's a total of 24. So as you're looking through here, as you're pursuing this lead, even given the little bit of skin that's visible, you know this is not Gimthrak. This is missing the trademark tattoos that would be running up at least half of his neck. And this body is... The pale color of it gives off the sense that this orc might have been dead for a few hours.
Gotcha.
I'm going to scan the rest of the room to see if there's anyone.
Sure.
Maybe. If I see a peak of an elbow around the corner or something.
You're looking for anyone, right? You're just scanning. Give me that perception.
I mean, the person I was going to shoot's already dead, so I need someone to shoot.
Saruk's right there.
That's a natural 20 for 26.
Oh, that's a natural
Nice.
20. Woo!
Let's
Chris
see
in
those
chat.
crits in chat.
Yeah, Chris in chat. You you scan the room, you look for every corner, anything, any sort of movement. There's one part where it looks like there's like the arm jacket or somebody that's hiding behind a bookshelf, but you immediately scope it out and realize, no, it's just a literal jacket hanging on the wall, meant to look like someone just to put some fear into you. You two are alone in this place. I think, and also with that natural 20, the thing that you catch the most as you just are scanning the room is there appears to be some carved, there's a desk in front of this guy. You can't see all of it, but from your angle, you can see the last few letters of something carved into the top of the desk from here. And it's just, you see the letters ROK on the far right of the desk. This is all you can see from here.
Well, this is obviously a setup.
Right.
I quickly step back, look down the hallway in both directions, presumably.
Right. Yeah, you look down the hallway, you step out, you look both ways. There is not a single soul here, but your sort of spider sense is tingling. It's a little quiet. It's a little too quiet.
So, pistol twirls. I decock the hammer on the pistol, twirl it back into the holster. I don't think there's anyone else here, but there's something scratched onto that desk. Maybe you can make more sense out of it than me.
Yeah. Really quickly. I'll go in, take a look.
All right.
And then we're out of here.
You start creeping forward, and you can see, you're taller, so you can actually see over this body a little easier without even crossing it. Make a perception check for me to see what you can notice. I mean, obviously the scratching on the walls there, but I want to see what else you might notice on this body as you're seeking out anything that might be here. Okay,
come up
18. As you kind of approach from the left side, and you see carved into the desk a single orcish word. It's Uldrok. UL''DROK, which in your sort of native tongue is what is your word for demon. Just scratch into the surface of the desk across. And with an 18, and you're coming from the left side, you can see some blood kind of right under the left eye. You can't see the eye because you're still behind, but coming down the side of the face, trickle of blood down the left eye.
Actively coming down him?
It's dried. It's not actively bleeding right now, but it has bled down and then crust dried right there on his cheek.
Okay.
Do I know this person?
You can't tell from the back, right?
I figured I would. At this point, we would have walked over, right?
Okay. If you want to kind of walk a little closer and get a closer look from the front.
All right. So where's the desk? I thought the desk was past the body.
So yeah. So you are looking past the body. The only reason you saw anything at all is because you rolled a natural 20, right? But the body is in a big chair, and it's a pretty sizable orc. It's blocking most of the view with his back to you, and the desk is in front of him. So the orc's between you and the desk. And you saw a bit of the carving on the right-hand side of the desk because you were looking from the right-hand side of the body, and you saw the letters ROK on that right side of the desk, carved in as if with a dagger across the desk. But you can't see the face without getting closer.
Oh, damn you, Steve. Okay. Reficule will go over. Richard really doesn't want to.
Yeah, good players take the bait, but god damn it. I would like to go now.
Not just the bait, but damn you, Steve. Okay.
Yeah.
I know. I have a feeling what's... All right. You know what? No. Save it for the game. All right. Reficule will walk over and see who this orc might be.
All right. So Saruk is still kind of cautiously approaching from the back, but Reficule kind of throws caution and sort of goes around to get a better look from the front. From the front, what you see, Reficule, is the left eye has been cut out completely and just removed. There's just an empty socket where that left eye should be, and there's sort of a trail of blood coming down from it. Sort of continuing that natural 20 you had earlier, there's very hard to see, but under the cowboy hat, there's 2 trickles of blood sort of just coming down a little bit on each side. And as you see the whole word now, you see the word carved into the desk, Uldrock. And you're like adrenaline's rushing. You're trying to see if you know this person. Do you recognize this orc? You do not.
We have overstayed our welcome. We should go now.
Mm-hmm. Damn you, Steve. Okay. You got me. All right. That was the player. That was me, the player, to Steve.
Yeah? Yeah.
I'm going to knock off the hat real quick.
Okay, yeah. So you reach up, Saruk, says it's time to leave. You knock off the hat. As the hat falls back, you see in the head of the body 2 sort of pieces of iron sort of dug into the head to make it look like there's 2 horns coming off this thing. This thing doesn't have horns, but these 2 bits of iron are just stuck here with the blood trickling below. And you see too, now that you're closer, the subtleness of a bit of metal teeth jutting out from the tusks on the bottom of the mouth.
All right, let's go.
As you say that, Saruk is through the door.
Yep. And so Saruk's towards the door, and then we have Refacule has been like dilly-dallying enough looking at this, starts going. In that moment, as Refacule goes and Saruk's already pretty much out the door, there's a huge bright light that floods in from the window towards the sky on the outside. It floods in, blinds the viewer, like the white light hurts your eyes, and we cut away to Anita. We can see
definitely know Annie's okay. Annie's doing way better than we are.
by now, right? The guards have been gone. We cut. It's night later that same day. You're wearing the same clothes as you were earlier. But we see Anita sneaking back onto campus using the contacts you've made with your friends, the secret passages, the ways to avoid security, everything you know that you've learned with all the time you've put into this campus. You are able, we pick up you back in that same hallway, sneaking back towards your laboratory. What is like Anita doing in this moment? You've just been expelled, and they've taken Wybert. Like, what are we seeing on her face?
Anita would definitely be in shock, but she knows very well that at the moment there's no time for her to be shocked. So she's just focused on making sure that she gets Wybert back. She'll deal with Kubrick later. There's this fleeting thought of like, fuck, I still have that fucking date with fucking Ambrose that I have to fucking go to, but I don't really want to go to. But he's gonna give me a carriage or so, and then like while trying to look for Wybert. Also, before sneaking in, she would have put on her blast boots.
Okay.
Blast boots, and then like she has her what do you call that? Sorry, her bandolier over her chest and stuff. She hopes that she doesn't need to use them, but she's prepared in case.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, most of your work, most of your active things that you've been working on, and a lot of the stuff you've built is all like in that office. You do have a few knickknacks. You have like some of your rocket boots. You have a couple of things maybe you've made that you kept at home. But the bulk of your research, the bulk of everything you've made, not just Wybert, but like a lot of stuff you've been working on are all in that office. And you know, that's like your life. That's your well-being, right? That's your everything.
Yeah. There's definitely desperation in her.
Mm-hmm. And you make it up to that door, and right before you go to open the door, you can hear voices inside. There's no guards out here, but you can hear banging noises, like something actively being hit, metal on metal, along with raised voices coming from inside. 2 voices, hard to make out what they're saying through the metal door, but they are like talking back and forth to each other. And they're inside your laboratory.
And I can't understand what they're saying.
You kind of put your ear, and you can give me an active like sort of listen perception check to see what you can hear through the muffled door. The doors here are sealed because there's so many accidents, and people will blow up their labs all the time. They fireproof like all the doors. And with an 8, it's hard to make out what they're saying.
I walk into my own office.
All right. You kind of like slide the door over, and you know how to like do it stealthily, right? It's got like sort of power to it, but you're able to bypass the automated thing and sort of decommission the powered and just allow you to slide it in, so it's not quite as loud, right? Because you spent some time here, and there's enough noise coming in that in the moment you see two figures whose backs are to you. You don't actually seem to have been noticed quite yet, but there's two people and they're standing right over Wybert. One of them has like a giant oversized wrench, and they are just like hitting Wybert as hard as they can. And the other one is like, no, there's gotta be a seam right here. And like, they've got like a sort of like dagger and they're trying to pry panels off the side of Wybert. Neither one of them has noticed you, but they are sort of trying to get inside Wybert. And your eyes go around the room and you can see your workshop, like some of the stuff you've been working on, bottles of like lightning in the bottle, alchemist fire, blight blondes, all these things that you've built recipes for, the formulas, the actual finished products that you've successfully completed are all on these shelves around the room. And there's like this sort of table between you and them with all of your junk right in the middle of the room. Because Anita, Kieran, Ulysses Mendoza is not the most organized person. No. Smart, not necessarily organized, right? But you see all of that around and the two people trying to get inside Wybert. What would you like to do?
I get out of being stealthy. Wait, before I do this, can I like try and see if I could still command Wybert?
Sure. So I think most of your commands are sort of like this, like thing. If you can, but then that would definitely like sort of give away the game, so to speak, right? Like they will know you're there, but you could.
Is he powered up or is he off completely?
It looks like he's in standby mode. He only responds to your commands. He only works for you. Other people can't control him. So when you're not around, he sort of just does the last thing which he was kind of commanded. So he's just standing where you left him earlier in the day. You're pretty sure he's in standby waiting command mode. Yeah.
All right. So first thing I want to do is grab like a lightning in a bottle and a blight bomb if I can.
Oh, you can. It's just they're far away. You have to sneak into your office without notice. So if you want to go over there to try to get a hold of those, absolutely. Give me a stealth check. There's enough. They're distracted. There's a diversion. You've got this table of junk between you. You have ways to sneak with cover across the room because their attention is elsewhere. It's the only reason you really have a chance at this right now.
Mary Chrysler. It's a 19.
So with that first sneak, you're able to go in the door halfway across the office and kind of put yourself behind the pile of rubbish, getting you halfway to your goal of getting to like the other end of the room where your alchemist fire and all of that stuff is.
All right. I'll grab my bow too.
Do you want to press your luck and continue to the next sneak action?
Yes, to my bow next.
To your what?
Bow. My bow.
Oh, like your actual bow and arrow and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So there's a shelf over here with your alchemist stuff, and there's a shelf not too far from it on the other end of the room that has like your weapon and stuff. So you can make your way to the bow.
Okay.
Give me another stealth check.
Mary Chrysler. That's a 15.
And you get your bow. Is it a bow and arrow or a crossbow? What is it you use?
It's a short. I changed it like a couple weeks back.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Whatever it is, like your bow, you get it, and in that moment you get it, you spin around. Now they've noticed you. One of them like kind of points up and like points the wrench in your direction and says, "Hey, it's that Anita gal Gimthrak told us about." And the other guy with the dagger that was trying to pry up on Wybert kind of smiles and says, "Well, he did say no witnesses." And we cut from there back to Saruk and Refacule. So there's a shield marshal vehicle, right? Eyes, like lights bright, like, Refacule, you're blinded. You can see the silhouette of an elvish woman. The light makes it hard to see, but her voice is magnified, carried by some sort of like equipment that booms into where you guys are. And it says, "Put your arms in the air by authority of the shield marshal, Angelique Lovelace." And you hear this like elven voice booming. Saruk's already like in the hallway sort of to safety, but Refacule, you're kind of left here. You're looking right back towards the shield marshal who's outside. The door's not too far. If you make a break for it, you might be able to get to safety. What would you like to do?
I'm fucking running.
Okay, so you turn and you run, right?
As soon as he clears the door, I want to close the door behind him.
So as he goes, and you're going to... the door's like half broken off the hinges from earlier, but you can start to get into place. You start running. Angelique actually lets a shot fire, and it just barely catches the corner of the wall, and the edge of the sort of stonework explodes outward, and like you sort of get hit with shrapnel a bit from the explosion, Ruffy, but you don't take any damage, and you get through the door, and Saruk slams it shut, and you guys are like sort of in the hallway.
Where can we go?
Fucking out of here, down.
I'll follow you.
Yep, so Ruffy leads the way, Saruk is following him, we rush out, and as you guys make it out...
The stairs. Are we doing not... Are we... Is this first floor or second
like fourth floor.
Yeah, we take the stairs.
Too much damage.
For sure.
We take the stairs.
Down the stairs, you get outside. In the sky, you see sort of the spotlights looking around for you guys. There's enough back alleys in Ruffy, you know a decent amount of this, right? So you are able to lead you and Saruk through the back alleys. They're tight, but you have no issues like keeping up until this weird sort of clockwork automaton creature shows up. It's sort of this weird sort of dog-like creature that it looks like it has a giant crossbow mounted on its back, and it sort of appears in the middle of the way between both of you, causing you each to sort of duck down an opposite hallway or an alleyway to not have it see you. And then there's a moment where you guys are forced to split up, and the camera follows Saruk. So Saruk is left on his own, moving through these alleyways. And we see him running, breathing heavily, trying to get away. You can hear voices, someone searching for you. And then there's a click of like a hammer locking and loading. And we hear a shaky voice sort of speak up. Hands in the air!
So I didn't want to interrupt the... words are hard. The people who gave you lots of things on Twitch. I know how Twitch works, but in the interim running, I wanted to go back to mace at ranged and shield.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can be in whatever formation you want, right?
Look, I don't know what you heard. I'm not responsible. Please.
Yeah.
Let me go.
You spin and look as you're talking, right? There's this you see an orcish woman, shield marshal. She's got her gun. It's like this long sort of musket rifle. It's trained right on you. You can see her shield marshal badge has this thin outline of blue just around it. The symbol of like a fresh rookie, somebody who still hasn't even completed her full training. This is probably one of her first nights out on the street. And you can see it in her eyes. She's actually way more nervous than you are in this situation. And she's got this gun pointed right at you. And she's like, drop their weapon.
Look, there was a murder. If you go back where you found me, we aren't responsible. I'm trying to presumably find the person who did. I cannot. And I'm just going to start backing up with my shield over my vitals.
Uh-huh.
Please don't shoot.
She steps forward towards you. Like she matches your pace, and she's like, then if you didn't do it, just come with me. We'll get it all cleared up.
Will we?
There's like that tense sort of moment between you two as you can just see the sweat beading down her brow, and you see her trigger finger like half pulling the trigger. What does Saruk do?
Fine. And I'll put my mace up and shield on my... shield probably still on my arm,
okay.
But down.
Yep. And you sort of ease the situation, and you can see the look of relief on her face. So from there, we cut away to Halbrand. Halbrand, as you move back to look for your friend, to see if you can find out more about this mystery. Oh, by the way, we see in the background, there is like a whole section of crates, at least 8 crates filled with these black powder bullets. And, you've got one of them that you took as evidence or something that you just like expected. It's a little lighter than you might expect. Something weird was off with it. But you move back looking for Dag, and you hear a commotion come from across the warehouse, a loud noise, and you hear Dag yell, "What? Wait! What is this?" Followed by the sound of 2 thuds, the sound of him being hit, and the sound of him hitting the floor. A voice fills the air, and you hear it across the warehouse. "There should be another around here. Find him and bring him to me." That wasn't quite right, but close enough. And then loudly, as if speaking directly to you, "We know you are here. Smuggling is a serious crime in the city. Turn yourself in, or face my justice." And you know this voice.
Mm-hmm.
This is Angelique.
Hal says, "I'm coming out. Don't do anything to the pup, Syl. Stay right there." And he'll walk out with his hands to his side, his cigar in his mouth, the one thing he goes to when he's stressed. This isn't what you think. You know me, look. Angelique, I mean, we've worked together for years now. You know Dag just retired. I mean, you know I'm looking for whoever took care of Lyrian.
Smile.
What is this all about?
And the body language tells you all you need to know. Her relaxed, her smirk. A side of her you've never seen directed at you, but you've seen plenty directed towards the people that she busts and the criminals that she gives her own personal form of justice on. And she smiles. She says, she gets on her walkie-talkie and she goes, "We have them both. They were found dead." And she raises one hand, and the clockwork behind her just takes its gun mounted on its head, points it at Dag's head, and there's a loud explosion. And right where Dag's head was, there is no more head, and he just topples over. And she just kind of looks in your direction.
Person.
What's that?
Oh God, I would do something like that.
Yeah, how dare.
She points at you, and she says,
I love you,
I guess
Hal.
she says, "Why would you do such a thing? Why would you kill your friend?" And she smiles, and all these sort of clockwork machines start running in your direction, Hal. And
Hal's gonna look down at the dog.
Syl's on the ground going, barking up a storm, right?
He's gonna look down towards the pup and say, "Syl, go find Greenie." And he's gonna put his hands in the air and let them take him under arrest.
Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't expect Hal to go so quietly. That's impressive. So Hal gives himself up, and we the last thing we see with Hal is sort of being slapped into handcuffs by the clockwork sort of assistants. And we cut back from there towards Reficule. So as the clockwork creature showed up, Reficule, you and Saruk got split. And we go back to that moment where you guys get split up and the clockwork dog comes between, and Saruk has to go one way and you go the other. This time the camera follows Reficule. Reficule is making his way through the streets. You know these corners a little bit better than Saruk. You know the most likely places for the shield marshals to be looking for you. Eventually, you get almost to where your freedom is, but you hear something. You hear Saruk's voice. Slowly, stealthily, you follow up from a side road, kind of hiding behind some barrels and crates. You can hear Saruk, but you can't see him. Your eyes are trained on this orcish woman, a shield marshal. Hands, voice shaking, hand holding the gun pointed in where you can hear Saruk's voice. And you hear her tell Saruk to give himself up. And you hear Saruk's protests. And he does. And you're standing here. What would you like to do?
How far away is she from me?
From where you're hiding, let's see. She looks like she's probably about 30 feet from you.
All right. Quietly draw my pistol. Pull back the hammer.
Can I see Refi where Refi is?
The way it's working, you're at like this T intersection. So you're here and she's talking to you. So you can't see Refi. Refi can't see you. And she's sort of at the middle of this T intersection where you can both see her.
Gotcha.
And as soon as she starts moving her hands away from the gun towards the shackles that she's going to put on Tusk's, I fire.
Okay. Well, when you go to fire, instead of firing, this is where we're going to roll initiative.
Fire for initiative.
Right? So,
Oh my god.
I built a whole battle scene for you, Hal, but you've given yourself up because you went willing. I didn't know who was going to do what. I didn't know who's going to give themselves up, who's not. So, in this case, since you've given yourself up, you are not sort of in this battle unless you would like to make a break and have a change of heart and make a break for it.
On second thought, maybe I would like to do some fighting.
No, I think Hal is relatively straight-laced. He's a little bit gruff, but he's not Reficule, but he's probably leans closer to Saruk.
Oh yeah. I get that. I just, you have the option, so that's fine. Like you can get arrested, that's fine for the story. Make sure you guys are at full health and full resources because so much time has passed since the last investigation. There shouldn't be any thing gone. So up here in the top, and I'll switch over to the battle map so people can see the awesomeness. Up here, we see Anita in the office, and Wybert's down in the corner, and the two people between you and Wybert. You're actually over here where your bow was, so you've snuck to this side of the room. Can you see that everything's working on your side, right, Nina? Okay. And then down here, we have the T intersection where we see Saruk about 60 feet or so away from the gun marshal, and around the corner where you guys can't see each other is Reficule, who has the drop on the shield marshal. And then down at the bottom, Hal, you're in the warehouse. You can take a look at it if you want to explore it, but there's not much for you in this. So everyone who's in combat, let's go ahead and roll initiative.
All right. I don't actually know if it... I'd probably be rolling stealth for initiative, wouldn't I?
You 100% could be rolling stealth, yeah. If it's, I'll leave you your choice.
Not that I'm playing Mukta and it makes much of a difference, but
True. But in this case, it's definitely a stealth sort of thing. And I think for Saruk, perception makes sense because you could maybe sense something's about to happen that you don't want to happen. And Anita would be perception along with everyone else, along with all the NPCs at least.
So this feels like a stretch, but I'll ask anyway. Is this pursuant to a lead? Question mark.
I mean, sure, why not? I'll allow it. You're in the middle of following a lead. It happened because you were following a lead. So it seems to me to make sense that maybe you would.
Reficule rolled a 13 for our podcast listeners at home.
That's
and
right.
And Saruk has definitely a number. 21.
Yep, so that's a 28 for the gun marshal.
15 for Anita.
Yep, 13 for Anita, 18
15.
Why does it say 13?
Got this rookie everything she knows.
Oh wait, never mind. Yeah, 13.
13. 15 for... Oh, you rolled twice for some reason. The first one was 15. The second one... Oh, you rolled stealth and then you rolled...
Yeah, that was stealth.
Got it. Okay. Either way, you settle right between those two. So, begin combat. Boom. So, at the top, Refi, you come out with your gun drawn. The shield marshal getting a natural 20 for...
I wouldn't have gone out of where I was hiding.
Right. But with your stealth roll of what? 13 and her perception roll of 28, she notices you, right? Because you're not hidden from her because you didn't beat her sort of anything, right? So she's got the gun trained on Saruk, but then out of the corner of her eye where you're hiding, she finally notices you, and that freaks her out, and she just wildly spins her rifle in your direction. You do have cover, right? You're behind these barrels, it's helping you, but she shoots at you. And Saruk, you didn't have any idea anyone was there. All of a sudden she's aiming in that direction and shooting at someone else besides you. So, let me make sure she's loaded. Okay, flintlock musket, strike.
That hits.
Yeah, it's
not a crit, thankfully.
Because of the cover and all that, it's not a crit, but it is a hit. So, she hits Reficule for 6 points of damage. And then, with her second action, she's like, oh shit. She like reloads her rifle. And with her third action, she immediately like strides over here and then hides kind of behind the barrel, so she has a little bit of cover from you. She doesn't take cover, but she has the cover of the barrel there. And that's her turn. Now it comes to Saruk, who had sort of de-escalated the situation, and all of a sudden something's going on.
And now something is going on. I think for the sake of best practices at the top of the round, we're gonna devise a strategy.
Oh.
I saw it for a second, right? So 15 is what your strategy is going to be.
God, so I have no idea what's going on. A thing happened. I think, honestly, Saruk just turns and de-asses the area. That direction plus 25 feet.
Okay. Yeah, you can basically book it. Her, if she sees you like running, she's got her focus on someone else. So you basically make it 25 feet plus 25 more feet. So you're like 50 feet down the hallway or the alleyway. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Saruk hightails it. That brings us back up to the other fight, which is with Anita. And so this commoner, the one with the wrench, uses her first action to stride towards you. Her second action is stride right next to you. And her third action to whack you with her wrench. All right, wrench time. A 10.
Misses.
Don't think that hits. You move out of the way. She hits the desk. Some of your cogs and debris like shatters, or like doesn't shatter, but spills off the table. But she misses you. And that brings us to your turn, Anita.
I'm gonna look at her and say, "Are you fucking serious?" And I will slap her.
With an unarmed strike?
Yeah.
Okay, make an unarmed strike.
14 a hit.
14 will hit.
Sweet.
Slap the shit out of her.
Mm-hmm. Are you serious? Slap.
2.
Okay. She takes 2 points of damage as you leave a red handprint on her face.
All right, and then I would hope this works. I'm going to spend 2 actions.
Okay.
For Wybert. Wybert, wake up! Does he wake up?
So behind this guy whose his attention's on you, right? He's got the dagger. Wybert kind of like comes by standby mode and stands up, ready to go. Eyes, like his giant eye in the middle, glowing as he stands to full attention. He works.
You thought I was gonna leave you? All right. So he's gonna attack this, whoever this is, with his sword.
Okay, saw attack. Let's hit a crit.
All
it's
right.
not a dog, but you know.
Think of it as like a dog. He's a dog, Wybert. He's a dog.
Wybert, he's a dog. That's an
18's a hit.
All right. So that would be 8 points of slash piercing.
That saw blade like cuts in and like splays the guy across the back and like splits his back open, and he looks really freaking hurt from that one saw blade attack.
All right, and then he has, because I spent 2 actions, and so
he has 2 more actions.
2 more, yeah. So he's going to use the next action to just walk away from this dude.
Okay.
So I'm gonna spend 2
to get to the door.
Here.
Okay.
Yeah, to get to the door. Because he can't open it. Gotta wait for me. That's the end of my turn.
All right, that cuts us back to the duel in the alleyway with Reficule versus the Shield Marshal.
Right. So, first turn, free action. I'll take a 10-foot step.
That's right. It's your first turn. So you go to the... Yeah, she gets a drop on you, which you're not used to, but you do draw your weapon and take a 10-foot step for free.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I will move here.
Yep. And so at this point, too, you move into
My
the
first
open...
action?
Saruk, they're down the thing quite a bit, but you turn and look, and you see in that alleyway... You see Reficule kind of steps out of the alley and is now engaged in the gunfight with the Shield Marshal. At this point, you would definitely notice that. Okay, that's your one action. You got 2 more actions?
Second action. I'll shoot her.
All right, make that shot. If you have a hero point in chat, you should definitely give it. Oh, yeah, that's the.
I will be using a hero point that I have.
Is it really a hero point if you're shooting a cop? But it's an anti-hero point for a roughie kill. Go ahead.
That was a 14, so I'm going to use a hero point.
Use that hero point.
Roll again. Mary Chrysler. Oh, wait, hold on, I gotta reload.
Oh yeah, that's right, because if you right-click on it, can you just hit re-roll and keep the new result? It might not make you do the actual shot again, but that's fine.
Oh, alright. Re-roll and keep the... Oh, there we go.
Ooh.
That would be a 25.
A 25 is not quite a crit, but it's close.
Alright. So that would be 4 points of damage.
Alright, you deal 4 points of damage to her. You kind of catch her off her shoulder a bit. She takes a little bit of damage, but she looks pretty tough.
For my second action, I will then use my reload. And I'm going to use Intimidation this time.
Okay.
I'm going to look her in the eye and say, "You really want to die over this tonight?" So I'll make an Intimidation check.
Yeah, please make that Intimidation check.
As part of my reload. That's an 18.
18 is a success. Not a critical success, but it is a success. So she becomes frightened
then,
1, right?
Dang.
Yeah. And then, for my third action, I go back behind a little bit of cover.
Okay. Awesome. That brings us back towards the scuffle with Anita. So this one that got the saw blade across the back is like, the robot's getting away. The robot's getting away.
He's just gonna hack at you if you follow him.
So he has to spend 2 actions to chase after him. And with his third action, he basically takes his dagger and tries to damage Wybert.
How dare you?
Let's see. Wybert.
How dare you?
That's a 17,
Oh,
which does hit.
Mm-hmm.
So he does indeed deal 3 points of damage to Wybert.
Okay.
But that's his whole turn. And we're at the top of the second round initiative, which takes us to the Shield Marshal. I guess the Shield Marshal, she's already reloaded. So she takes aim at Refi, who does have cover, but not like... You didn't take cover, so you just have standard cover. She targets you. She is frightened 1, so she's already like shaking more than usual. She takes her shot. Oh, I gotta hit the reload. I never reloaded last turn. She takes her shot. With all of that, it's a 25.
You rolled 17s twice.
Twice?
By the way.
That's your unlucky number.
Right. So
not a
yeah,
crit,
that hits.
but 6 points of damage.
Mm-hmm.
And then she turns over her shoulder and she sees Saruk sort of booking it, right? And you're 25 feet even more than you are right now. So you're like 95 feet away from her. And you're like, one more turn, you're going to turn a corner and be gone, right? So she uses an action she has, which is called Lawbringer. She denotes you, Saruk, as a foe that needs judgment doled out, and she gets a 10-foot circumstance bonus to speed when she's moving in your direction.
What?
And with the third action, she runs 35 feet towards you. And she's booking it your direction. She doesn't want to let you get away. And she kind of leaves Refi in the back of the alley. And that's her turn. She is no longer frightened at the end of her turn. But that brings us to Saruk.
Okie so then top of the turn, second verse, same as the every verse when I go to combat as an investigator.
Oh boy! Natural 20 on the
God.
device stratagem.
Oh,
Let's
boy.
go. Are you gonna kill her though?
So I realize, no! Are you kidding? God damn it, Nina. Are you gonna kill her? The bloodlust has extended from the construct to their master. I guess, like, I see the baby shield marshal is going to catch up to me.
Uh-huh.
And so it's just like interact to draw the mace multi-pistol in its ranged mode, and I fire from considerably farther away than it reads. So 25 plus 35.
Yep, so 60 feet.
Which is...
And what's the range? You have a 20-foot range increment?
Yeah. So with a -4, would that hit?
That turns it into a 23, which is a hit, which bumps it up to a crit because you rolled a natural 20, so it still hits. So I'm interested more. It's going to hit, right? That's an awesome roll, natural 20. How are you doing this in a way to make it, well, what I assume is non-lethal, right? With your feet?
I think always, yeah. If I'm using my pistol or like in the stomach, the wound would cauterize pretty quickly. It'll hurt like a motherfucker.
Okay.
But she won't bleed out.
Got it.
And
So go ahead and roll that crit damage.
I think it's this one. Yeah. Okay, turning on Devise a Strat for all the damage. Mary Chrysler.
Low-ish rolls, actually.
512. I knew I should have gone with a Honda.
It doesn't knock her out. It knocks her down to near death, but not quite enough to knock her out. So you shoot her, and maybe in trying to make sure you don't kill her, you pull back just enough to keep her on her feet. Surprising, maybe even you.
Please, I don't know what's going on the other side, but I didn't do it. Let me go. I don't want anything bad to happen to you. And then I passed her.
Okay. You still had a third action, right? What was your third action?
One action to devise a strat, then one action to draw my weapon, because I had...
got it. You put it away. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's right. Okay, cool. Take a hero point for being honest on interact and drawing your weapon, because that's good. So you see her, she doubles over, she's got a gut bloodied, she's got a hand on herself. Things are looking rough for her. That brings us up to the person with the wrench. You've slapped her across the face,
Yes,
Anita.
I did.
She takes the wrench and just tries to sweep you out. Like, she basically takes the wrench and tries to trip you with the wrench.
The wrench has a trip tray?
It's a giant, like, mechanics wrench, and she has the trip.
Dire wrench.
Right, it has the sweep, the trip ability. So she does do that. So that's going to be an athletics check.
It's the weapon of a level 1 weapon inventor.
It's only a 10, so that's not going to hit anything. No, it doesn't hit your... So she tries to sweep you out from under your leg. You stand, like, you lean into it, you take it, and like, it hurts, it bruises the side of your leg, but you don't get knocked down. And then when that doesn't work, second action to just try to, hit you with it. A 10 is going to miss.
Misses.
And the third action to, like, step 10 feet away so you can't slap her again. All right, Anita.
Come on! I just want to get my robot back. So what I would do, I'm going to... Sorry, give me a second. I guess use 2 actions to get all the way to this door.
Attack of opportunity. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'll use 1 action to move here. I can't open the door from where I'm at. Can I open the door from where I'm at?
I think you can. I think you can use an interact action to sort of slide it open from there.
Which is what I would love to do.
Okay.
So I'm gonna use an action to open that, and then use one of my last action to give Wybert 2 actions.
Mm-hmm.
And then I look at this weak-willed commoner, and then and I think about it for a minute, and then Anita thinks to herself she doesn't want any more blood in Wybert's hands because he's already getting bad rep. So Wybert's gonna use 2 of his actions. Oh, not to close the door, but to get out. So that would be 50 feet.
Yep, so he runs out and down the hallway, like, starts running down the hallway.
Turn left, Wybert! You know where to go?
What's the maximum range that your invention can be from you?
It doesn't say.
Doesn't say.
Yeah.
Okay. Either way, I'm sure he gets away. He's good.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Right here. Yeah.
So that brings us back to the alley. Reficule, you've been shot. You're pretty sore, hiding behind this barrel. You hear the Shield Marshal run towards Saruk, and you hear a shot ring out, and you hear Saruk telling her to stand down. What would you like to do?
damn bloody tusk's gonna get us all killed. And I will. How could I go over this barrel?
It would be basically like sort of like a balance check to like hop over the barrel. You could do it, but it's gonna be a roll to see what happens. But if you step around the barrel like that, that's no problem.
That's fine. I'll use first action to go here.
All right, you can see her. She's doubled over. She's holding her stomach is bloodied a lot. You see Saruk with the mace weapon down the way.
Second action.
I look towards Refi as he comes into eyes. I just don't. Please.
I'll look towards the shield marshal. Anyway, you're letting us leave tonight.
She's like sort of like spitting up a little blood. The law's the law.
The law means we end up dead, and I shoot.
Let's see if you hit. Doc Nina gave Refacule a hero point, and RK Richard RPG gave Anita a hero point. In chat.
That's metagaming. Using
Thanks for the support.
Thanks for the support, cast. All right, make that shot.
Have you guys seen Abomination Vaults?
I'm going to use that hero point.
Okay, the shot misses.
Don't fucking die yet.
You're using the hero point.
Hold on.
The anti-hero point.
I'm going to change some dice real quick.
He didn't say Mary Chrysler.
Oh, so B
gave Saruk a hero point.
Saruk a hero point. What?
All right.
So all decent people out there want this shot to miss. All people that like drama in their story really want this shot to hit.
God.
Let's see what the dice has to say.
What if I'm both?
Those awesome Rollsmith dice, by the way.
Yes, sorry. I know it's taken a bit, but I've this is important.
This is an important roll. You need to channel some. Right. I want you to channel some Mook to here and roll a natural 1.
Feature request.
No.
Hotkeys for multiple dice sets.
All right.
That's a 23.
Yeah, the 23 is gonna hit, and it is gonna deal damage. Hit, not a crit. Roll your damage.
That's 3 points of damage.
Well, she had 1 hit
without
point.
A crit. So.
Oh.
You were 1 off on non-lethally knock her down. So you take the gunsmith, like her musket, her long flintlock musket clangs to the floor. She falls over. She's bleeding. Where do you shoot her? Like, how do you do this for Refacule?
Refacule will make this as quick as painless and possible, just right in the head.
Okay. You shoot her. You hit her in the head. She falls over. There's blood dripping out. But Saruk, you can see from where you are, she's dying. Not dead at this point.
What is your major malfunction? She was new. She's not. Just go. Get the fuck out of my sight. And I'll start moving towards her to try to patch her up.
Okay. Yeah. So Refacule used to have 1 more action, or is that all 3 actions?
That was 3, but I'll say, look, she might have been new, but her blood, that's on Lovelace's hands. Understand something, Tusks. You end up in chains tonight, you end up dead. Remember that. And I go off the other way.
And we fade from that scene back to the melee still going on in Anita's laboratory. You watch as the robot's gotten down the hallway, like Wyrert run, like, out the door. The weak-willed commoner, like, places himself, like, right in the middle of the door and says, "Can't get far without this one controlling it." And he uses his dagger to try to stab you.
Okay.
Oh god, that was almost a natural 20 for a second. 13?
Resist. Oh.
Yep. And let's say with his third and final action, he tries to grapple you. This has a -10 modifier. No, -5 modifier. So -5. Let's see if they can grapple poor Anita.
My reflex, right?
It's actually a 14 because it didn't do the -5 correctly. I didn't add it right. So it's 14 against your reflex. Is that what
15.
grapple's against? Let's ask the expert. Tommy, is grapple against reflex or fortitude?
It's... God, I can never... My brain is...
Okay, you can't remember either. Not just me.
It's I play too many games. Grapple. How wild! I was already in the skills
It's
section.
fortitude. So what's your fortitude?
Sure.
17. No, misses. Misses because of the MAP. All right, so you gets a hand on you and you wrestle free. Okay, so Saruk. Oh, so actually, yeah. So I'm gonna move this person in initiative here because it was down by Prequel. You look, and you are what 60 feet away from her.
Oh God. Forgetting the mechanics of second edition's hero points, can you use them to get extra actions in this edition? I know you can in 1E.
Unfortunately, you can't.
Is it literally just rerolls?
It's just rerolls and or stabilize
And
yourself.
stabilize.
Fair, got it. Well, I guess I'm gonna just put it back to where the person is. If I'm 60 feet away, then it would take me all 3 of them to get to there.
Yep. So you run up and you're able to get to her, and you see she can't speak, right? Because she's unconscious and she's got blood. You see the bullet has like hit the side of her head. She's got like part of her skull missing there, but she's not dead. She's just dying.
Boo.
Yay!
And that brings us back to the snobbish one, who steps here and is now flanking and making Anita flat-footed, and tries to clock you with the wrench. That is indeed a natural 20.
Oof.
That hits.
That is going
Wrench
to
OP,
be a
please,
critical
Nerf.
Huh?
So 10 points
Okay.
of damage on Anita.
Okay.
Still up.
Mhm.
And third and final action, wrench attack again.
Okay.
That's a 19 to hit. It's a hit,
That
not a
hits.
crit. 4 points
All
to
right,
Anita.
I'm still up.
Still up.
Yep.
Okay, it's now the shield marshal's turn for the death save. So I'm just gonna roll a d20. 11 is exactly what she needs to stabilize, or is it 12? It's 10 plus your dying value, or 11 plus your dying value. Anybody know?
I think it's 10 plus.
10. Should think 10.
10 plus your dying value. Yeah.
Yeah, so 11. So she makes 1 success. Okay. So that means
Which
she
is
moves
the
from
only
dying.
success you need, 5e player.
She moves from dying 1 to wounded 1 and unconscious, right? I got the rule right. Yeah. Freeze frame. Anyway,
We all get up out of our seats and do
you
that
run
big
back,
jump.
and against all odds, she's stabilized herself. But that brings us to Anita, surrounded by these 2 people.
Yeah, I can't get through this door because the
He's-
dude is right in front of me, right?
So you can do what's called like a tumble through action, which lets you move up to your speed and try to
Acrobatics.
tumble through the enemy's space.
Okay. So acrobatics.
If you'd like to tumble through him, you can make an acrobatics check. Yes.
I would like to attempt to tumble through him.
Sure. Yep. There's multiple ways. If you tumble through, that's a check. If you physically push him back and then you open some space, that's another way. But there's different ways you can go about it. You tell me how Anita wants to do it.
I would like to tumble through,
Well, that's a 4 on the dice for a total of 9.
but I would like to use a hero point.
You would like to use the hero point, the magic words. Roll that hero point. 19. Acrobatics, reflex. That's enough. That's a success, which allows you to move through the enemy space. His space is difficult terrain, but otherwise you can move out into the hallway.
So I'm out in the hallway. All right. Why won't it let me move? There you go.
So we're through the hallway. That's 5, 10. That's 15 feet of your movement to get to there.
Okay, second action, I close the door.
Well, okay, yeah. So you turn around, close the door on him.
Yeah, my third action, I'll get close to Wybert.
So I will say this is kind of the thing you can do, right? You disabled the door sneaking in, right? To like unpower it. If you'd like, you're looking at the control panel, you could probably use a crafting check to like lock it and like seal them in.
Yes, please, I would love to do that.
Let's try it. Make that crafting
Okay.
check. Let me see. DC by level.
That's a 10, but I would like to use another hero point.
The hero point given to you by Richard.
Okay.
DC by level 1 DC. Yeah, this is a DC
Reroll
15.
and keep them. Oh, a
Happy
natural
Honda
one.
days. Oh god.
Ooh.
So in your trying to power it down and lock it with a natural one, you do it the opposite. Like the wires get crossed and it like shoots open, and now it's like locked open and there's no way to force it closed.
To what? To force it closed? Okay.
Yeah, so that was 2 actions. You still have 1 action, right?
I still have one action. So
tumble through and then crafting to close the door. I think that's all you did, right?
I closed the door as
You
my
closed it and then you're
action.
trying to lock it. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, Ruffy, you're still standing over the body. Saruk has run there, crouched down next to her. She's lying there dying, and you're just standing there. What do you do?
First action, reload.
Okay.
Please do not make a stupid decision.
Second action, walk over.
Uh-huh.
Don't make me do this.
Look, you were the law, right?
Correct.
Not anymore. Here, you're a criminal now. And criminal is wanted by Shield Marshal Lovelace. Don't end up in a cell. They don't get a trial. They end up dead.
The line between criminal and on the wrong side of a powerful individual seems a very large chasm. What are you going to do with your gun?
I'm gonna stay alive. That's what I'm gonna do. And I pick up, for my third action, I pick up the Shield Marshal's
Okay.
flintlock rifle.
So there's that moment, and then you just like pick up the musket, the flintlock rifle. Yeah, you can loot it off her body.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the hell out of Dodge. I suggest you do the same.
Yeah.
So Ruffy sort of goes off, and Saruk.
Well, yeah, that's all my...
Yeah, just Saruk sort of... Like, this scene's kind of ended, right? Is Saruk just gonna, like, leave the Shield Marshal here and go the opposite direction, or go the same direction as Refugio? Like, Refugio starts walking down the alley, right? What does Saruk do?
I think what I want to do is is there anywhere nearby that isn't, strictly speaking, a box barrel or cover source where I could feasibly hide and have eyes on the scene?
There's a decent amount of cover, and especially like in these buildings, if you were to like get into one of these buildings and maybe get like a second story look at, there is a lot of places where you could potentially pull off such a thing.
Sounds good. So then, in that case, Saruk is gonna basically just go somewhere where he can overwatch the scene and hide. This still very much smells like a setup.
Mm-hmm.
There seems to be more information to be had here. Once he's totally sure the woman isn't gonna bleed out.
Got it. All right, that brings us back to the last person that's still in combat and looking rough is Anita, who's near death with these commoners are right there. The door flies open as you're trying to like fiddle with it. You look up, he's got the dagger. Yeah, he stabs at you. A 12 is gonna miss.
Yeah.
And then I think with his second action, he tries to do the athletics grab again. It's going to be at a -5, which takes it down to a 9, which misses. And he just wants to keep you from getting free. And, you know, with his third and final action, I guess, desperately tries to grab you again. This time it's a -10. That's a 1. So he stabs at you, he grabs at you, and you pull back. You fight him off.
Oh, this nerd.
And that brings us to her. She can't really get through you without tumbling through. So that's what she tries to do. She tries to tumble through. Acrobatics check. What's your reflex DC? Wait, was it fortitude?
Oh, she got it.
Reflex, yeah. Natural 20.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Tumbles through
It
you.
doesn't matter what her DC is.
Tumbles through you into the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
Gets in, and like now you're like, you know, you're in trouble. Wybert's still like running sort of down the hallway, although you didn't command him last turn. Second action, she hits you with the wrench.
Here we go with the wrench again. Hit.
A 16. You're not flat-footed, but a 16 is exactly what she needs to hit. 6 points of damage.
I'm down.
So, boom, clocks Anita upside the head, and Anita, your eyes roll back as it fades to black for Anita in the moment. And
I don't know where everyone else is, but I really hope Annie is okay.
I hope she doesn't run into any smooth criminals.
No, they're just swinging wrenches.
Not smooth at all.
I'm trying to trip her.
So, let's get to the resolution phase. So,
Cool.
it fades black and the camera in the movie just goes completely dark. And then as there's like a little bit of like tweeting and noise, and the shield marshals like show up. Like we hear like the voices of some shield marshals, and we see Anita like opening her eyes, and you're on the floor in the sort of right outside your laboratory. The two people are gone. Wybert is still deactivated down the hall from you, and there's like the shield marshals have showed up, and they're like standing over you, and you realize now you're in handcuffs and you've been arrested. And Dean, right? He's here talking with the shield marshals, and he's like looking down at you, and he's like, yeah, she's already wanted in some murders. Oh, she's already wanted in some murders back at some place called the Iron Bells, and now this. And her property, that automaton, it belongs to a patron of the college, Ambrose Mugland. He insists on its return. And you kind of struggle awake in this moment. And then the shield marshal just like nods. And he's like, we're going to go ahead and put this into storage for the time being until there's been a proper trial. And like Anita is kind of picked up. And the last thing we see of Anita is being walked down the hall in shackles with like Wybert kind of in a net, like scooped up and just being drugged unceremoniously by the shield marshals as you and Wybert are off to jail.
Can I say something?
You can.
What's his name?
Do
Kuvri?
you have the right
Olos?
to remain silent?
Yeah, Olos. It was like Olos Kufri, yeah.
All right, Kuvri. Tell Ambrose. Oh, why am I speaking like Revi? Tell Ambrose that if he wants to use Wybert, that he needs me. Unless I'm there with him, he's useless. He's nothing but a collection of nuts and bolts. I hope you reconsider that before throwing me to fucking jail.
I'll relay the message.
You better.
And then we cut from there, and we're at the warehouse. It's night. You know, Halbrand is also in chains and shackles as he's being led off to jail by some of the shield marshals and the clockwork people. And we see like, Angelique standing over like the stumpy, bloody head, the missing head of Dag. Was it Dag? I think it was Dag. And it's Angelique. And we can see now for the first time with a clear shot of her face, she's got two eyes. One is an amber color and the other one is silver. Two different color eyes. And she's standing over the stump. She's just looking down, and you can just see almost like a sad look on her face as we're sitting on her for a minute. We're contemplating, and we can see written on her face as she is reflecting upon her actions here tonight. And we don't necessarily see a happy face. It's a bit melancholy. And then she gets out the walkie-talkie. You gotta do that. The site is secured. The tip was correct after all. Smuggling ring. We have one person in charge of this smuggling operation that escaped after offing his partner. Responsible is the immigrant known as Halbrand Beastwood. He is in custody. She sort of like unclicks her walkie-talkie, puts it on her hip, and then turns with her cape sort of in the air and walks off. And the last thing we see is the bloody headless stump of Dag, and we camera pans up and we see Hal sort of being led away. What's Hal doing in this moment, looking back at all of this and hearing all of this happen?
He's hoping that Syl has gone to fetch Saruk, much like he fetched other things out of the desert for Angelique. And he looks to the shield marshals to each side of him and says, "It was one of you. You know, I was an honorable man. I would never do anything like this."
They both laugh. These are two of the deputies that run with Angelique. Like, sort of She has her own crew within the Shield Marshals, and these people are close with her.
You have no idea what the people do where I'm from. I will see you both dead.
There's like a moment where they look at each other and you have this serious threat on your face, and they lock eyes, and a moment passes, and one of them laughs so hard and like doubles over and like slaps his knee, and the other one starts smirking like, you're never gonna see the outside of a jail cell again. And off you march into the proverbial sunset, even though it's night. We cut back here to Reficule, and we see Reficule leaving the scene. What would Reficule do immediately after this? This is the hottest you've been in a while.
Pause for a moment and look back towards Tusks, kneeling over the bleeding out Shield Marshal. Shake my head slightly, and then I start running back towards Kojak's house, trying to, take pains to not be noticed or followed. But thinking back on tonight's adventures and the messages that were sent, and thinking that the people that he's come to care about might not be as safe as he'd hoped, he's going to run back towards Kojak's.
And the camera cuts for a minute as Reficule's running. We see now there's like a sniper scope with the targeting reticule, and it's right on Reficule. And the camera sort of pulls back a little bit, and we see from the top of a nearby building, watching Reficule make his escape, is none other than Angelique Lovelace. And she's watching Reficule, but we see that she pulls her finger off the trigger and just lets it go. And it kind of comes up and frames it in her face. And we see her say to herself, not often I get the pleasure of killing the same man twice. And we cut from there to down on the street. The Shield Marshal has been found. The clockwork sort of robots have found her. One of them is like a sort of medical bot that patches up the Shield Marshal and brings her back to consciousness. And Angelique is here and is like asking for the full report. And like as we're talking, the camera kind of shows up, and from a nice, secure, safe distance, we have Saruk watching this unfold and trying to sort of pick up what he can hear on this sort of situation. And we see Angelique listening very intently on her description of Saruk and her description of Reficule and how it all went down. And Angelique just sort of listens. And we see her talking to the two same people that we saw arresting Halbrand in the previous scene. And she looks over at one of them and she says matter-of-factly, "It looks like Grimthak was right." Oh, that's Irish. "It looks like Grimthak is right. The demon is still alive." It's still Irish. "The demon is alive. And this Saruk might prove to be an interesting complication. Put it out. They both killed a man and a Shield Marshal tonight. We need them in custody." And it sort of cuts away from there, and we see a chow line, a sort of chain gang out in the yard, as in the middle of the chain, on the chow line, chained foot to foot, we see, dressed in prisoner stripes, Halbrand getting a plate of food slopped on. And the camera stays there, and it moves, and a few people behind in line, we see Anita, also wearing prison gear, also stuck here, getting her slop of food, as they both sit in line at the table, just, 4 down from each other. Your eyes meet across the way. Both of you in custody. What would you guys say or do looking at each other?
I think Hal would wait for the people to come pass by as he's talking to the cook. He'd look to the next guy. Go right ahead. And then he'd look see Anita, and he'd look down towards her. I sent Sil after Saruk, and if your boyfriend is with him, Sil's going to bring him back to us. Don't you worry, we're going to get out of here. In the meantime, enjoy this fantastic food. Let me tell you, it's better than lizard's tail.
She doesn't say much. She's just seething. How long before Sil gets Saruk?
Won't be long. You know Saruk. Worked with him last time. He's a patient man. He's probably spending half his time keeping Refugio from running up the front gates here and shooting up the place, but I'm sure he has a plan. Refugio. He's a little bit of a hothead, but you can trust Saruk.
Yeah. I mean, if I followed, if I did what Refi usually does, maybe I wouldn't be here.
Don't worry. He'll come get us. I saw the way he looked at you. Well, I mean, Saruk appreciates a man who leans a little towards his way. So, don't worry. Sil will not let us down.
Right.
So cut to Saruk. You're back at your house. It's been at least maybe like a week or two since your encounter with the Shield Marshal. You've been laying low. Luckily, no one's come by here looking for you. And one night on the door, you just hear like scratch, scratch, scratch at the door. And you open and you look down and you see Sil, or, Annie as you once knew her.
I just kind of like look down, see dog, look up, don't see Hal. There's an immediate click of, oh my god. And then just like, I don't know if Sil has a collar. I feel like no, probably.
Probably not.
Based on everything I've heard from Hal, but just like grab a bit of food. I should have paid more attention. I'll just like set food down in front of where Sil is, try to get her to come in the apartment, and then close the door, lock it.
The door locks and closes. And the last sort of thing we see is, an undetermined amount of time has passed, and we see the same chat line. We see Anita, we see Halbrant, both sitting there eating the same slop day in, day out. And Hal takes his, utensil, bites into his, mashed potatoes, and there's, almost like a clicking noise. And it, feels like something almost breaks your teeth. Pull it out, and there's the tiniest key.
All right, come with me. Let's go.
Okay.
And
I'm just depressed.
yeah. And so from there, we sort of pan out, and the camera pulls up away from the city, away from the jail, up towards the sky. The smog is thick. The rain is falling. The cobblestone streets are pooling with muddy, dirty, oil-slicked water. Steam rises from the buildings, the churning of the gears, clacking in harmony with themselves. The heat itself evaporating the raindrops on the buildings. The camera follows that steam up until we are high above the city of Alkenstar. Through the thick, smoggy sky, making it hard to see. Moments later, the smog breaks, and we are looking down on a slice of a much smaller world. We're looking at a small slice of a much larger world. Each district within the city acting like a cog, serving its function, click-clacking, making the whole greater than the sum of its parts. And in one place, rising high above the rest, reaching for the stars, Grayson's fingers, 9 towers rising above the smog, the grit, and yes, the poverty that fills the city. For all the cogs below, every single person turns, does its function so that this place may thrive. One man stands here, high above the city, on the balcony, looking down over everyone else. As our camera drifts closer, we can see he is dressed in finery. It's the halfling financier, Ambrose Mugland. He sits here, sipping his goblet. and we can see he has 2 guests behind him. And the city looks so small from up here. And standing, ever present in the corner of the room, none other than Gimthrak himself. He looks at his pocket watch before putting it away. Everything is on track, as expected. I shall have you the formula very soon, so long as you have my cash on hand. The camera sits close on his face as he grins, and with a single wink, the camera fades to black. Roll credits. End prequel.
Can I do a quick post-credit scene?
All right, Ruffy, give us the post-credit scene.
So you see Reffy in the back alley of Kojak's house where they're at, rubbing his shoulder a bit where he's been patched up. And he takes his pistol and he loads it. And you see him aim and he fires again. Same spot where he's been practicing every morning. And the camera pans down to 2 targets that he's just shot. One with the drawn likeness of Angelique Lovelace, and a second with the drawn likeness of Ambrose Mugland. Both riddled with bullets.
Surprisingly, the camera pulls back a little more, and you see just the corner of a shoulder, like a 3/4 view, filling the corner, watching you do this shooting in this shooting range. We see her face turns just a little bit. We can see she's got darker skin. She's got like kind of long dreadlock hair, and she smiles. And she says, "Don't you worry. We'll get you that revenge soon enough." And that's the end of the post-credit scene. And that, my friends, is the end of our little adventure and the birth of the Outlaws. I hope you guys...
Hey.
Oh yeah, what happened to your dad? I don't know. He just got left to his own devices. Reficule gone. Anita gone.
I feel like a 50% arrest rate's not bad. All things
More than I
considered.
thought was going to happen, for sure. But
I for sure thought... I'm still talking later. I for sure thought that orc was Kojak. I was
too.
like, you
I was
son
so
of a
scared.
bitch.
I'm not that mean, right? I wanted you to
made
maybe
him
get
sick.
feared, but that would be too mean, right? I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe
Kojak is
it's
just
not.
sick now. He's dying.
Yeah, he's just something's off.
He's
with
not
him.
himself anymore.
So
Yeah, because he's got a couple of iron nails driven through his temple.
yeah. So sadly, that's going to do it for us this week in Alkenstar. Big thank you to Ninna, Richard, Rick, and Tommy for playing with me and, indulging me in this sort of trilogy we did. It's been a fun arc, meeting your characters for the first time, seeing the world come to life, and really giving shape to who these people are. But this isn't the end of these characters, because this is just the beginning. This is just the prequel, because we have a whole adventure path coming with all of this backstory brewing to give us fuel for our campaign, and I cannot wait for it.
Super excited.
Yeah, for real.
Right?
Mhm.
So before we sign off, I want to give a huge shout out to our patrons who support us on Patreon. The patrons, big shout out to David Sims. I should have updated this.
Thank you, David.
8th Gate Lee, let's go.
8th Gate Lee, yeah, I'm trying to think of his
Yes,
real name, but
thank
let's
you,
just let's go 8th Gate Lee. That's easy. 8th Gate Lee, you've been our patron. You've been chatting with us. If you guys want to join in on our behind the scenes conversation and get on our Discord channel where we have a subscriber patron chat room, so you can chat with us, go do it, because we chat about all kinds of fun stuff, and you get to see some direct contact and questions.
Some sneak peeks.
And
So.
sneak peeks, that's right. We have sneak peeks, especially on Patreon. We got sneak peeks. We've already shared some of the character artwork, the full character artwork that we've commissioned from Wiffle Possum, who's in chat tonight. Yep, shout out to Wiffle Possum. If
Thank
you
you,
need some
Wiffle.
artwork, hit up Wiffle Possum. Amazing work. So we're going to share all that soon. But you guys, like the patrons, your support goes a long way to helping us. So thank you. And if you liked what you've seen and you're liking our content, please consider just giving us some money and support to help us take our show to the next level, right?
You really need to help Steve abuse us by being concerned that our adopted father is dead and mutilated.
You know what?
I know.
You know what?
Oh, how late is Steve?
Good callback. Great callback. So, big thanks to Molten Hosting. Speaking of, callbacks, big thank you to Molten Hosting for providing our server hosting and making it so easy, and popping into chat tonight and giving a bunch of subscriptions out, gift subscriptions. You guys are awesome. Use the referral code Recall Knowledge. That's
one word.
Thank you.
One word.
For
Not two, not three.
For your first month free, check them out at moltenhosting.com. And also to the Rollsmith. They haven't, the Rollsmith makes awesome dice. You got to see the cast use them and me use it to almost kill Anita. But yeah, any shout outs you guys want to give?
I just want to say I still love the investigator as a class so much. The amount of let's see what can happen. Oh, it's a 20.
Right.
Take that decision
I can do whatever I want.
And opponent.
Yeah.
Listen,
big shout out to Steve for this prequel. Like, we didn't just meet in a tavern. This was really engaging, so we really, really appreciate it. And I think we know each other a lot more than we did. I got my eye on you, Fuel.
I want to thank Ricardo for the dog animal companion for when I take my ranger dedication
There we go.
level 2. But no, for real, I definitely, everyone at the table I have a very distinct impression on moving in, much more so than, oh, you're that guy who played what you're not supposed to play in Outlaws of Alkenstar. I guess you can just work it out as you go. Like, that sucks, right? Having the extra space to build up my antagonistic relationship with Reficule. It makes it so much better.
Right? So if you've enjoyed this prequel as much as we have, make sure to go to Twitter and tweet out Hoople Haule to Steve. At GM Steve and Recall Knowledge.
At Steve the DM.
Steve the DM.
There we go.
Yeah. Next Wednesday, April 27th, we are back at 7 o'clock Pacific, just like usual, to play through Outlaws of Alkenstar, the actual adventure path, you guys. It's here. We're playing it, and I can't wait to get my hands on the premium module from Foundry, because
let's go.
It's going to be like next level stuff. So you're going to want to tune in. If you don't own it yet, tune in next Wednesday and see exactly what this module brings to the table. It's going to be pretty epic. I read the whole first book on my plane flight to and from Hawaii, so I have a good idea what's going to happen, and it opens up with a bang, let's put it that way. So until then, make sure you guys stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah.
Aloha.
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 Oh, I can't wait for next week.
Howdy.
I know.
Let's go.